Welcome everyone to the playoffs of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. I'm John Terbesi, joined alongside, I am John Terbesi, but I'm Jay Turbo, joined alongside Shinkari. I completely messed all that up, but here we are, playoffs week here at the Showboat. We're not at the Showboat, but all of the players are, and presented by RSAA Riot Scholastic. This is going to be an amazing weekend.
Yeah, for sure. We have a bunch of great teams lined up. For all the MAAC teams, this is going to be the second time that they're going to be going up against each other. So this is going to be a whole lot of revenge matches from the regular season. But there can only be one champion crowned at the end of this weekend. We have a whole lot of great games of League of Legends lined up. We got a new patch to shake things up as well, and a bunch of changes to a whole lot of champion stats and stuff, sure to shake up the meta at least a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. We have some big changes, mostly targeted towards the bot lane. Some of those mid-patch hot fixes coming through over the last couple days, so we'll see how the players adjust to that. But today's matchup, we've got Niagara versus Ryder, two of the teams that were sort of near the bottom of the standings for MAAC, and it's this position where Niagara, they've had success in the early game, they struggle later on, and Ryder just really haven't been able to get the ball going. But the one matchup they were supposed to play in week one, Ryder was unable to make it. It was a forfeit that went to Niagara. So now we'll have to see these two teams going up against each other for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be Ryder's chance to prove themselves and their last kind of chance to really get any sort of victories here in their games here. They've only had one victory this whole season up against St. Peter's, so this is their opportunity. If we take a look here, yeah, they really have, this is their chance to really try to see if they can go up against Marist. And if they do, both of these teams are gonna have a tough round too, because Marist undefeated so far in this league so far, and they're really looking to already be the best team in the league and maybe just the champions of this tournament. But there's a lot of things that can change as we get closer and closer to the finals, and there's a lot of things that can shake this up. And I'm looking to see if we can start right here, because like you said, Ryder not the favorite to win this. Niagara has had some wins over the lower half of the bracket, but not so much success on the upper half. So if they're a middle of the pack team, this should be an easy thing to get a win here. But like you said, maybe Ryder has some secret sauce to kind of push in on those weaknesses that you were talking about with Niagara here.
Yeah, Niagara, sometimes they've got a really strong early game, but can struggle to transition it. But you do have to remember, as you brought up, going up against Marist, not just undefeated in the round robin stage, taking every single series, they have not dropped a map this season, and that just goes to show sort of the stranglehold they've had on this conference and how Niagara and Ryder, they're gonna have a tough opponent going into the next round. But first, you've got to win this one, and I just really want to see, first off, Ryder really show that they're here to play, and also Niagara, if you're a middle of the pack team, you've had success against these lower squads, show that you deserve to be in these playoffs and you're ready to take it to Marist.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the big thing here for sure. I mean, you have to bring your A game now. Maybe along the ways during the regular season you were trying to mess around with maybe a couple ideas here, but now we're in the finals. It's big boy time. It's big person time. Gotta buckle up. Gotta get ready to go. Put your game face on. This is the time to really take okay, we've experimented with the stuff that we need to. This is what works. Let's not try to reinvent the wheel here. Let's go with our strengths and hopefully try to break through our opponent's weaknesses.
Definitely. And, we brought up how we're playing on a new patch. There's been a few changes, and brought up how a lot of those are in the bot lane. Some of these minor tweaks were to, I think, the champions that most people are thinking are just, pick or ban. Aphelios, Jinx, these real hyper carries of the bot lane getting tweaked just enough that it could impact their play.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about this before the game, I think the biggest winner, I think that we both agreed on here out of these kind of changes here was Ashe. Ashe is a champion that has been kind of in and out of the meta and is always kind of a champion that people can kind of lean onto because of how Enchanted Crystal Arrow works and her very good laning phase, how well she synergizes with a lot of other champions. And Ashe, coming out of these kind of very small buffs and changes, has a mana reduction cost to her W, which means about level 3 when it becomes normal to like that pre-buff volley that we saw in like season 11, season 10, of that very annoying constant pressure over and over again. That's going to be a very significant lower mana cost there. And then also, Enchanted Crystal Arrow has a base 80 cooldown right now. So this is an insane, real good start for Ashe right now. So this is really, really good spot for Ashe right now. Maybe we'll have to see, but I think, you know, maybe we will see some changes as well, because Jinx basically got a lot of the buffs that she got across, like shadow buffs across season 11, kind of reverted here. So she's not going to have as strong as a laning phase as she did before, right? Especially the mana cost on Fishbones being consistent throughout all the levels is pretty big as well. It's really going to hurt those early poke trades. I'm really looking. I'm hoping we see Ashe today. I really think that's a champion we're going to be taking a look at.
I completely agree. I hope we see Ashe. I really like it when teams pick up that Ashe and realize that your bot lane is going to be in this more supportive role, but that's okay. You know, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow paired alongside either an Enchanter, or if you want even more engage on top of that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, you can pick up a Leona. And your bot lane isn't necessarily who carries you through, but it's something that helps you get across that early to mid game stretch. As we are going to go to a quick break, as we've heard of some player technical issues, so we'll resolve those as soon as possible and be right back with the kickoff of the MAAC playoffs.
This is the terrifying thing of DDD. One wrong move right here, this landing forward air, a Gordo could set you up for the kill right now, but the landing hitbox of that Fair trips them up, and even though you're not going to get an edge guard, one edge trap right here could be it. That rocket hammer, that ain't safe. You're going to be able to get rid of them there. And the other charge hammer, don't get caught, don't get grabbed. No, you're going to avoid that. Okay.
Be careful here around this ledge. Forward air connects from Bivers, and Bivers doing a pretty good job right now of making sure that Yoshiman really can't get anything started for himself. He's got 100% onto this Falco, but the shine comes through as well, so the Gordo gets stuffed out, and these lasers continue to chip away at Yoshiman's percentage. Back air gonna land as well. Falco wanting that down air, so satisfying when you land it, but it couldn't get the spacing on it. The jab, that's not gonna take the stock quite yet either. Bivers holds onto the ledge, a risky play, gets the parry as well, up throw, can't get the up air to try and snipe that stock away, and he ends up air dodging away from the last hitbox of Yoshiman as well.
And now here's that little pressure that I talked about. You want to make them antsy. You want to make them throw out a hitbox in your face like that. You can just shield and up smash. Good use of neutral conditioning right there from Bivers. And even though Yoshiman was able to get the edge in the beginning, ultimately it's finding this kill that they're struggling so much with. Their jumps are being called out. They don't have any more jumps. They have to be there.
Dangerous predicament right now for Yoshiman, but the down tilt, that should seal that stock away. So first stock off the board, but a lot of work to be done. Bivers right now only at 15 and in control of this matchup, but Yoshiman, an opening here. That's no jump, but the forward air doesn't connect. The reversal, they both want this spike, but they can't find each other off stage. The dash attack, that's gonna connect. That's gonna be the stock, and all of a sudden, things are back to even.
Even stocks, and the percentage is already racking up, absorbing them, trying to get ready for this tech chase, trying to go for the follow-up. What is this momentum that Yoshiman is playing with? They hit a boost pad or something, but is that spike enough? No. DIN, you're saved. That kill screen's a liar. You better not believe it. But then the up tilt, no, you're able to jump out. No back air confirmed for you, and they bet it all on the rocket hammer, trying to bait them in, but Bivers does not give into the temptation.
Playing around the ledge, 150. That forward smash is going to do a lot of shield pressure. This is going to force Bivers to make a play. Reflected the Gordo, and that's going to be enough. The reflected Gordo, the added knockback, that seals the deal, and that is going to be the set in Sienna's favor, and the Saints, the defending champs, are on to the next round.
It was so sudden. It was so sudden. I mean, Siena College, they had already won handedly, but I didn't realize how handedly, because that reflect was maybe the most unexpected. And yeah, good games from all of them. Everyone congratulating their teammate on that win, because I truly believe, even though Yoshiman was getting some crazy momentum towards the end, that they played that perfectly. That was textbook Falco gameplay, and I say textbook as the best compliment you can have. Sometimes when you're up against, say, sort of lower tiered opponent, it can be tempting to run in to try and just get a big punish and beat them out using your punish game. However, you cannot fall prey to their tricks and traps. You've got to be ready to deal with these low tiers as they should be.
Absolutely, and Bivers showing why this team is so strong across the board. All of these members have
welcome back to the MAAC Esports Championships. As we just found out that Ryder, after running into some roster issues, was declared ineligible. So Niagara will be advancing, but the players want to play, so we will still be having a bit of a show match for you all to sort of set the stage for this weekend of playoffs.
Yeah, a little unfortunate that, we won't be having super big stakes in this match, but you know what? I always love a good show match. Usually, I'm expecting a bunch of like weird stuff to be thrown around, which is what I'm really excited, because once you're like, yeah, let's have a best of 3, but like, we don't, the outcome does not matter. That's when people are just like, all right, Malzahar jungle, let's go. Like,
this reminds me of last week. I was on the Big East stream, and Quinnipiac had already had a playoff. So what they did is they drafted Tarek jungle, Renata, and Kindred ADC, and that is by far one of the most fun games I have ever had the privilege of casting.
Yeah,
and
Tarek is an interesting champion that actually has like somewhat good clears. Like, it's a little weird. Tarek, because of his passive, like gets like a bunch of like attack speed like really quickly and can end up clearing things pretty quickly. And then he can tether to whichever person he decides to gank, and then has a pretty easy setup because he can just point his stun wherever they are. So right off the bat here, we're going to see some picks. Yeah, we're going to see Niagara immediately ban away the Tryndamere here. I mean, I think if you're trying to have any fun game of League of Legends, I feel like Tryndamere is just never involved ever.
Yeah, get rid of him. Get rid of the split pushing menace. The spin to win boys, just not fun. Not what we want to see here today. As we're going to have the Ornn coming through potentially from Llamas, so going with some solid team fighting. Niagara, considering they will be moving on, maybe they're just seeing this as a practice opportunity, considering they are going up against the top dog in the next matchup.
Yeah, I mean, just get if there's no consequences, I mean, I definitely feel like, yeah, make sure you're warmed up, make sure you're ready to go. I would probably say don't show your hand too much. Just maybe play like a little regular, something you normally do. Just make sure you're keeping your cards close to your chest, because right, like you said, they're going up against the top dog next round, and if they're just gonna have a good time this time around, like, if you want to get warmed up, then go ahead, but make sure you're not showing your whole hand. Keep them close to your chest.
Yeah, keep them guessing, definitely. And I do like seeing Ninjax onto this Karma. It allows this flexibility, I think, out of the mid lane, because I feel like Karma has some really, really good roams alongside just being able to sometimes be that pretty oppressive poke mage if she chooses to go for the more damage-centric route.
Yeah, I mean, Karma as a champion is something that I really like, especially as a support, more so, or as a mid laner, more so as a support, because the real big power of Karma in these kind of early games, like you highlighted, this kind of poke mage build that you could go, is really very good in the mid lane. Her early levels are very, very strong. And when she is playing as a mid laner as opposed to a support, she doesn't have to worry about stealing CS. So if you try to sit in the minion wave, a lot of times Karma just doesn't feel bad about throwing an empowered Q into the minion wave so that you get hit with that initial blast. And then, because you're slowed afterwards, are now kind of a shoo-in to get hit by the second half of that Q.
Yeah, not just that second half, but also the tether. And of course, the speed from her shield goes a very long way. Just making sure you stay in place, and it can be very, very annoying to deal with. I feel like that's why we've seen Karma in every single role except for the jungle, because she can just be that really annoying, run you down sort of mage that is just surprisingly sticky.
Yeah, and she is, even though the movement speed on her empowered shield got kind of reduced a long time ago here, she's still very powerful with that regard here, and is going to be a huge asset to this team. Like you said, not only is she going to be running you down, but Swain having some movement speed, not too bad. He likes to be in the thick of it. He likes to be in the middle of all of this mayhem, causing as much damage and vamping as much as possible. So it's really going to be an interesting thing to see. They are pretty AP damage heavy, but they are offsetted by the fact that Viego is their jungler. Now, that is another thing that I'm going to be taking a look at, because Viego is very much feast or famine, a very snowbally kind of champion. Once he gets a lead, it's very hard to stop him once he's ahead. On the other side, they also have a very snowbally champion, Misfortune. And they're going to be doing a cool callback to Season 11 Worlds here with Leona as well. There's a whole lot of setup for this Misfortune Ultimate to really, really wreak havoc on the Niagara team here.
Most certainly. I mean, you get that Solar Flare bullet time. It is an instant team wipe if you're clumped together. But I will say there's options on the side of Niagara to counter that. You have, of course, Xayah. Her ultimate can just get her away from that. And Swain and Karma, they can effectively run away. Just really don't clump together to allow this laner to get that massive Solar Flare. But if it happens, it is certainly going to be destructive. Now, one question I sort of have for how Ryder is going to play this out is that Kayn, because you're definitely going to want to go red Kayn, and the only targets you have are the Viego and that Ornn, and do you really want to be, hard ganking this Ornn that just wants to play passively anyway? And if you're invading that Viego, you could really struggle if the Karma is just roaming to catch you.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, Kayn kind of struggles in some of these early levels because he's not really a champion yet. A lot of people like to say that Kayn kind of hits a power spike within himself when transforming into either the Shadow Assassin or Rost, right? So in this kind of time where Kayn is just regular roaming around, he's not going to be as powerful as, say, Viego, even though Viego hasn't exactly hit his power spike either, right? That's the other big thing, right? Both of these champions don't have the strongest early game, but Viego is just going to eke it out just a little bit. Right, he has a little bit more utility. He has a bit of better base damage than Kayn in these early levels, and will scale a little bit sooner than Kayn will as well. So if, like you said, Kayn has some hard options to go for here if he's looking to turn into that red Kayn, which his team kind of needs. He doesn't really have a front line. Right, there's a lot of bruisers. Like Leona can definitely fill that position, but since she's a support, she's not going to be able to do it as well as Ornn will in the top lane. Right, so now we need a second kind of frontliner here to help facilitate a lot of these team fights and make sure that Misfortune is safe and also provide some additional CC, which Rost can do with that knockup that he has on his abilities. But it's really going to be challenging, and we're really going to have to see how this early game is navigated, because that's going to be the most important parts, and it's also Niagara's strongest suit.
Yeah, definitely. Niagara, as I've seen them throughout this season, even going up against Manhattan, going up against Marist, they've been able to hold their own in the early game, which isn't something you can say about some of the other teams that are higher up in the standings. Like Fairfield, for instance, their series against Fairfield was pretty competitive. Their early game has always been one of their strongest suits, and if Kayn is going to fall behind, it'll just let them continue that snowball, especially if Viego can get rolling, especially if this Karma becomes enabled and wants to start roaming, because I feel like if she can just run down bot side, you can fill the hole of that weakness of Xayah early on up against a Misfortune Leona lane.
Yeah, and these are two, and that's definitely going to be a space that we're going to be taking a look at, right? Because once again, top lane has turned back into an island. We're not really going to be seeing a whole lot of teleports going into the bot lane like we did in Season 11. I feel like a lot of folks are already kind of used to this now, 5 patches into Season 12. But that's really the big thing. That's why we've been seeing so much Hull Breaker in the top lane. A lot of ranged champions have been being played, and you're just going to throw raw stats on a champion, right? Ranged versus melee matchups is the best time to do it. And if you're not going to be spending a whole lot of time teleporting into the bot lane, you might as well take that opportunity to really sit in the top lane and turn it into an island. Now, there have been some nerfs to Hullbreaker, so maybe we don't see it this game, but it is still important to note that with the changes to teleport, we're not going to see Llamas or Thaddeus going into this bot lane. So we really got to keep our eyes on these junglers, where they're going, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be facilitating a lot more of this bot lane than the rest of the team will.
Yes, absolutely. They certainly are going to be the ones facilitating that bot lane, as we have got the first game of the MAAC Esports Championship CLOL division going on, of course, presented by the Showboat in Atlantic City and brought to you by Riot Scholastic Academic Association. And even though this is a show match, it's still the kickoff of an amazing weekend, and I am just ready to get into it.
Yeah, if anything, I am only upset because I am not there. I think that's the only thing. Like, I've missed LAN so much, and seeing all the B-roll, all the photos from folks who are already out there and having a good time at the LAN. Super jealous. Y'all should take that in, because it's been a long time since we've been able to see a bunch of folks in the same room playing video games. As for sure, as this is going to be a pretty a pretty good match to say the least, and interesting as well, and sure to be a great weekend as well.
Definitely, as we're seeing, just pretty standard starts from both junglers. Kane taking advantage of not really needing a leash, going for that Wolves start, and Viego starting on the red, both on the bot side, so we could expect to see some top side shenanigans early on, I think especially out of Sir Mumu. On that Kane, as you want to get that red form rolling, especially indicated by the fact they went Conqueror and not for the Dark Harvest or the First Strike if you were going the blue Kane variant.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a red Kane, so either we're going to see red Kane in their own jungle for a very long time, or we're going to be seeing a whole lot of action on this top half of the map, which, because there's a Fiora up there, we might actually see a whole lot of action. Fiora is definitely a jungler or a top laner that likes to go toe-to-toe. It's just the problem is, Ornn has a lot of deceptive damage. You just can't, there are moments where he can just do a whole lot of damage. The Fire Breath and his passive are a very potent combo that you have to be careful about how you're interacting with Ornn, because even right here, look at this trade right here. Ooh, meanwhile, bot lane.
Oh, and in the bot lane, we've got our first fight, as looked like Arius Huge was trying to get an early pick onto Izzy, but both sums burned out of the ADC from Niagara mean no harm, no foul.
Yeah, we're going to see a wash of the bot lane, but that is still some pretty low HP bars and no flash, no heal on Izzy either. So this is going to be a pretty good place for Ryder to start in this bottom half of the lane here. Like you said, Xayah not exactly known for her early first few levels. It's a champion that builds Tear of the Goddess as well. So this is not going to be like a super action-packed bot lane with regards to Xayah and Swain here. If anything, it's going to be because the junglers showed up. So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. Hypno shows up into the top lane here. Not really going to get a whole lot because Thaddeus is already out of there, shoved out the way. Going to probably do their first back.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, that felt just like a hover in case the Kane wanted to show up and do anything. Also, giving Llamas the space to catch that big wave. And honestly, I would have liked to see Thaddeus just take a bit of a cheater recall and teleport back up. Get some early item advantage, because of course Ornn doesn't need to back to gain that item advantage, can just build him in lane. So maybe with this crash, Thaddeus will find that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the kind of the advantage to being Fiora here. Fiora has some pretty good wave clear from her base attack speed as well. So being able to clear these minions out while having a pretty clear line of scrimmage, should I say? It's the distance of her lunge is where it's just like, hey, this is the no-fly zone. Make sure you don't get too close to Fiora, because she has that lunge on a shorter cooldown than you have that fire breath on a shorter cooldown. So you don't want to get hit by too many of those weak spots, because you are definitely going to feel the pain. Is now testing the Scuttle Crab, but it's going to go over to Mumu here. So they're going to be able to pick up that first Scuttle Crab there. I think they double crabbed the Viego here. So definitely a pretty good start for Mumu's Kane here.
Yeah, most certainly. That's all that you can really ask for, is early map control through those scuttles, as it means you're not going to be a victim of those invades that this Viego might want to go for, considering how weak Kane is early on. Is seeing a bit of a hover here from Hypno.
Yeah, once again, this bot lane is going to be a pretty important place to be. Miss Fortune is a snowballing champion. If she gets a lead, especially with a champion like Leona, that'll be able to facilitate her do so, but we got to fight.
We've got to fight. Looks like the engage was called by Hypno, but the flash away from Ari is going to end that one, but traded for Hypno's flash, so really an even exchange. But that jungler not having flash, pretty big deal.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually in situations like this, it seems like it's an even trade, but really it's a trade in favor of Ryder here. I think if you're trading flashes, support versus jungler, that the jungler's flash is always going to be more valuable. And now, Mumu's coming in for the shadows here.
Mumu's coming in, and Izzy with no flash, no heal, but was able to back away just in time. So does manage to escape this Kane. And now Ninjax on the way down. This could turn into a bit of a dragon fight, as both junglers are in the vicinity, but instead, everyone chooses to back off.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a pretty big party down there. Ari was roaming down as well, was going to turn into a 4v4, it looked like, but it doesn't seem like anyone truly wants to dedicate anything just quite yet. I mean, a team fight battle there would have ended up with the winner walking away with possibly Ocean Drake, but it's still a little early in the game. First blood has not been drawn, so a loss at that junction right there could have been a huge swing for whoever was able to get out of that alive. So I don't think anyone's willing to take any kind of risks just quite yet. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but it's really interesting to say the least that we didn't see a fight at all down there. You know, a risky play for sure, but if you come out on top, you get a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were running the calculations and no one felt all that confident in their setup. And I mean, it's really scattered vision from both teams. And now, off of a decent recall timer out of the bot lane of Ryder, Niagara's going to take advantage and take this first Ocean Drake.
Yeah, once again, this is a really great dragon to have kind of by itself, right? A lot of drakes, we talk about, you know, how good their soul is, but sometimes you have to talk about how good these dragons are individually because, you know, sometimes that's how you only get them. So the Ocean Drake being picked up here means that a lot of, just a little bit of an easier time in this laning phase right here. For the stun, not going to be able to find it. Alrighty. Yeah, it is going to be just a little bit better for these laning phases here. Now they can stay in lane just a little bit longer, especially thanks to that mana regeneration they're going to be getting. There hasn't been a whole lot of fighting in these lanes so far. Just some minor scuffles in the bot lane that ended in flashes being blown.
Yeah, that's really all that we've seen. You know, we saw the junglers poke their heads up topside. We've seen these mid laners trade spells, but all in all, nothing really too impactful, and I think it just sort of speaks to Niagara not wanting to give anything away to Ryder, not sort of show that there are ways that they can falter, that they can get baited into a bad engage, but also Ryder, you know, just staying calm, cool, and collected and not letting Niagara step forward in these first 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is definitely a good kind of little lead that Niagara has gotten for themselves here. You know, for a team that seems to have their early game kind of on lock here, it's a little interesting that they haven't really picked a whole lot of champions that kind of excel in this early game here. You know, we see Ornn, who has some decent early levels, but like really, oh wait, meet him out. Hold on.
Looks like we'll find first blood out of Crazy Monkey in the bot side. That last tick of Ignite gonna get rid of Pop at Kong. And we were waiting for first blood to be drawn, and here it is. Now Niagara looking toward these plates.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a real great time to grab themselves some free gold, especially with the support gone as well. This is going to be some easy gold to pick up for Izzy here. And first blood goes over to Swain, which, you know, isn't exactly great, but Swain usually turns into an AP carry as the game goes on, doesn't really build a whole lot of utility, so there is going to be damage on this character. So getting them a kill, not ideal, but not the end of the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely not the end of the world. I think if your support was going to get that first blood, Swain's probably one of the better ones to have it on, as we're seeing Mumu step forward. Llama's already getting chunked out, but so is Thaddeus, and nothing will come of it as the Ornn retreats back to tower.
Yeah, the Ornn has to play just a little. It seems like a lot of these ganks for Mumu are a little mistimed here. It seems like there might not be a. Oh, wait a minute. This might be some trouble for Llamas here.
Ooh, a little greedy, trying to clear out that ward, that control ward, as I don't think he realized Ari was waiting in the wings. Really hope he doesn't step towards that bush again, as it could spell disaster, although the roam is coming from the jungle support duo of Niagara, so all Llamas has to do is stay alive, and this could turn into a big turnaround. There's the Ornhorn, there's the crash, there's the kill onto Thaddeus, and now Ari the next to fall, as Hypno does find that one, although Ryder responds in the mid lane with the Herald.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge play from Niagara there. What an amazing turnaround for sure. I'm still kind of laughing just a little bit at the Ornhorn kill from downtown. Like, that was a really good move there. But I like the roams here from the supports here, trying to get just a little bit more advantage into this top half of the map, because Ornn scales the best with levels. And so if you give him just some free time to just hang out in this top lane and just have a good time, you know, you're going to be getting some ornaments pretty soon, which is going to put some holes into patching the Niagara's mid to late game, right? You could just get, oh, let's just, over pad ourselves with stats in order to make sure that we can win these team fights in times where we, might not be as strong as other people claim us to be. So really great set of kills happening in the top lane, 2 kills going over to them and going over to some good folks as well. And liking the kills going over to Hypno, that means good once again, I've said it probably a couple times, Viego, very much a snowballing champion. So getting these kind of early levels, very, very important.
Yes, very, very important indeed. And I like the respect Niagara has been putting down. They've only really been reacting to Ryder's oversteps and just sort of being ready to counter them as opposed to forcing bad engages on their own. As you see both mid laners down here just waiting to strike. Izzy not ready, does have to pop that ultimate. Does jump away the bullet time, tries to spray down Crazy Monkey, but has the stopwatch. Now Hopikong is without a team. Crazy Monkey trying to heal up on the front line, but Sir Mumu is here to join the fight, as now Hypno is here as well. There's a party of junglers, and there's the resets. Ninjax, and oh my, the stuns from the Taken Leona, enough for Hypno to finish off the job. A triple for the Viego, and there's the snowball we were looking for.
Holy moly, I always love watching Viegos pop off. They turn from one character to the next, and it always kind of shows like how good, if you're a generalist in League of Legends, if you are pretty good at a bunch of champions, Viego is your champion, and Hypno is showing it off right now. Look at how much damage he was able to do as Misfortune, and then immediately turn on a dime and get the right stuns as Leona as well in order to clean up a lot of these kills. Very, very well played by Hypno here as the top lane. Thaddeus trying to fight Llamas here, but he's a very, very tanky boy up there.
Yeah, Llamas has just sort of hit the stage of tank top laner where you get the Bramble, you start building towards your Bombies item, and you just tell your opponent to, hit me. What are you going to do? Get damage? Now Sir Mumu here trying to even the fray as the Grand Challenge is popped by Thaddeus. The slow is dropped, and now Thaddeus might just have to brittle his way through this, and nearly does. Sir Mumu forced to ulti under, but it honestly might not be enough. Ornhorn used. There's a stun reset. There's the help from Hypno, and Sir Mumu goes down under tower.
Oh my god, Llamas is insane! This was so good, so well played. Knew exactly how much HP he had to work with, and even if he was going down, he was going to go down fighting. That Ornhorn was really, really well placed for sure. And Sir Mumu had to commit. He was really, really close. He needs these souls in order to get Red Kayn, because Blue Kayn is not going to be successful against this team, even in the slightest. There's a bunch of tanky members. He's finally got the Rost. We're finally ready to go with our big tanky Kayn here. But yeah, he had to commit there. Llamas was really, really low. He needed to get that kill, needed to take that risk. It didn't end up paying off, but man, Llamas is really on point with these Ornhorns today.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun to watch an Ornn who just gets those timings down just right. And I mean, the fact that he was able to time the very end of Kayn's ultimate, that Umbral Trespass, and then slam the giant ram into him, like frame perfect, is just awesome to see.
Yeah, it's really all about the timings there, which is why I'm lauding it so much. It also looked cool. Come on, like it's very, very cool. Is Hypno or an Ahri in the mid lane?
Yeah, looks like Nye Ranger did just step too far forward. Hypno took advantage, and I mean, this is a massive Viego. Bork online, building towards that Divine Sunderer, and is going to be very scary moving forward as that Proc does get stunned back. Don't expect too much to happen, although invade from Hypno might just get caught out as a big bullet time finds Crazy Monkey and Hypno. That's some serious shutdown gold going over to the Kayn. Now looking for more. Ninjax to be next on the chopping block. Izzy trying to help out the mid laner, but might not be enough. As again, Hopat with all the damage. We talked about what Misfortune can do early, and we're certainly seeing it here. A double kill for the bot laner of Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, this was looking really good for an... Oh, wait, we got a Scuffle in the top lane.
Yeah, Scuffle in the top lane. Grand Challenge fully procced, and now the healing coming through, although Llama's able to use that healing from the Grasp of the Undying and survive. Thaddeus just unable to get through that Bramble Vest and the level advantage.
Yeah, it's the Bramble Vest, it's the Frostfire Gauntlet, but now here comes Ahri. Don't have a whole lot of magic resist.
Yeah, here comes Ranger, but might have been too little too late. Here's another Ornhorn from downtown. The Everfrost with the slow, and there's the damage. Ninjak's gonna finish it off. As, oh man, all these Ornhorns today have been so much fun, and I'm just ready for more.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Llamas has been doing a pretty good job on this Ornn in the top lane, and a very, very good roam from Ninjax as well is gonna be smelling doom for Ahri here. A real good start to that, but you know, didn't exactly have the by the time she showed up, Llamas was already gone. And then, you know, the turnaround and the collapse, the turnaround from Llamas and the collapse from Ninjax really smelt a whole lot of a doom for Ranger here, who really just is not doesn't have a whole lot of resistances. So any sort of damage is going to make them fall over like a piece of wet paper.
Yeah, and especially, you know, this being a more aggressive Karma, of course, not going for like that Shurelya's mid, that true support, going for that Everfrost, likely going to be building just near full damage this game, and it'll be pretty scary to see as Rift Herald dropped, and oh, the root onto Ahri is huge. That is tough, but Hypno getting charmed might just get stun locked inside, does find the reset onto the Leona, and that might be just what the doctor ordered. He is trying to stay alive, does jump over the wall, and Mumu flashes as well, but not able to find it. Hypno still somehow alive, and now this Rost is stuck without a team. Crazy Monkey finishes off Ranger, and Popat wants to get some revenge, does answer on the Crazy Monkey. Overall, a 2-for-1 favor of Niagara.
Yeah, it does mean that they can't push onto this mid lane. They had a lot of members that need to reset and go back with their low HP bars here. But like you said, this is a pretty big win for Niagara here. The really good start to a fight, and even though they couldn't quite finish off Sir Mumu here, he couldn't quite find where Hypno had gone. So, you know, 2-for-1 is definitely good for you at this stage of the game, especially now sitting at about 3.3 thousand gold in the lead and looking at a lot of low outer tier turrets here. So definitely look for first turret to be taken by Niagara pretty soon, maybe in this top lane.
Yeah, definitely could come in this top lane, although at this point that Bramble Vest does mean that all Thaddeus has to do is auto you once, and that tower aggro goes right onto the Ornn. So there is that to consider, but Infernal Drake up. And this is sole point for Niagara, just 18 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this is really good control of these early objectives here. I think the big thing is that, ooh, wait a minute, we gotta fight.
Oh, yeah, it looks like Hopat will just get picked off in the jungle. Crazy Monkey with the last auto finishing that one off, but with that pick, there's your team fighting damage, and Ryder just gonna have to concede this Drake over to Niagara as they continue their lead and now put themselves up to sole point, although it looks like Sir Mumu and Ranger might want to try and contest this. Could be a potential smite fight. Have to kill the Kane first, and does find the Drake steal. There's a big objective bounty, and while he will be going down, that is a massive win for Ryder in terms of gold. If Ranger can escape, that will be really the best case scenario for Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing about that smite steal is that they've now denied the soul point away from Niagara, and they've also picked up an objective bounty for their team, so they're getting a little bit more gold into their pockets, slowly narrowing this gold lead, but it's still a whole lot in Niagara's favor, and now they're getting first turret as well. They're going to be able to use this momentum to push other turrets as well. Get some damage onto the tier 2 is pretty significant. You know, a lot of people talk about, you know, the damage onto these tier 2 turrets are permanent. You don't start getting healing turrets until about the third tier here. So even if they pull back here, even if they don't get this turret, that's a very, very weakened turret that they can return to and very easily pick up as the top tier turret. A tier 1 turret is also picked up by Llamas.
Yeah, this top side of the map getting just more and more into Niagara's control, and with Baron having just spawned, that big purple worm could be the next target in the sights of Niagara.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is going to be, this is still, Ryder still has some ways back into this game, right? Sir Mumu is playing a champion that can be very sneaky with these smite steals, and is playing a champion that can be very deceptively tanky. He just has to play it a little careful. You know, they need to take advantages where they can find it, but, you know, Niagara is playing Viego, who is already pretty much snowballed a little bit out of control, 5-1 and 6, really finishing their second item. They're fighting.
Yeah, and we're seeing that charm lands onto Hypno, but don't know if there's enough damage. Sir Mumu, having been ignited, is going to have those Grievous ones. Actually, no, I think it was just Grievous from Hypno, but still, getting rid of that healing on the red cane before you scale up, it is critical, and it's good to see Niagara adjusting to that. And we're seeing a potential dive as this is just going to be the tier 2 gone as Llamas gets that last auto. And Ranger forced away as this mid lane in complete control of Niagara.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real... that ultimate did not need to land from Ornn there. The empowered Q from Karma was enough to scare Ahri away. If it landed, it would just been an icing on the cake in order for them to definitely grab the turret. They might have been able to dive, but one person definitely had to be committed to making sure that the tower went down, because that was their big objective from being over there. So now they have a big portion of that middle of the map there opened up to themselves. If they really want to continue pressure on the dragon, they're going to need to put just a little bit more attention into this bottom half of the map, as now you got a teleport coming through. Ninjax looking to fight.
Yeah, Ninjax is here. They want to try and punish the bot lane of Ryder for sticking around for so long, and won't be able to find that, as it does look like Ranger is heading down. I'd like to see these bot lanes move into the mid lane so they can be a little more proactive on the map, but maybe for Ryder, they just want to keep 2 down here so that they can find a turret, get an objective bounty under their belt.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the way to do it. They've had some extended laning phases with the bot lane.
Oh, no.
Ahri going in.
Ahri is huge going in. Doesn't realize an entire team behind as Ranger is the first victim. And then down goes Ahri is huge, and 2 quick kills go the way of Niagara.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the top lane, we might have some action up there. Llama's taking a whole bunch of damage.
Yeah, as it does look like he's just trying to duel off Mumu and Thaddeus, and very, very tanky, still surviving, but the knockup will be just enough. The shutdown comes through, and it's on to probably who you want it, that Fiora, able to keep snowballing forward, or maybe start snowballing if she has picked up that hull breaker.
Yeah, once again, this is they're trying to find a Ryder right now is just trying to stem some of the bleeding here, fill the holes in maybe their sinking ship here by making sure they're getting the objective bounties where they can and grabbing kills onto their important characters where they can, right? Fiora with the hull breaker means that she's probably going to be staying a little bit in this top lane, a little bit more than they'd probably like, but ultimately it's not that big of a deal. I'm still looking to see how they're going to continue getting to these objective bounties here, because that's how they're going to stay in this game here. You know, neutral objectives like Dragon and Baron are going to be the easiest to claim, especially as these tier 1 turrets start to fall.
Yeah, and speaking of Dragon, we've got the next Infernal coming up in 20 seconds as Niagara looking for that soul point, looking for an additional way to close out this game. As they're stepping forward, their vision lines, Mumu forced to back away. Now, we'll say there is a bit of a power spike for that. Kane does have that mana immune now, so we'll be dealing quite a bit more damage. Helps out that Omnivamp, but with the teleport coming through from Llamas, that big Ornn is going to be a very scary front line to try and face off against, as Niagara already started the Drake.
Yeah, it's real low now. They're not going to be able to get a steal attempt, but now they're looking for the re-engage. There's the Ornn Horn.
There's the Ornn Horn. Immune by the Fiora and that Solar Flare just to try and do something, but a big bullet time unanswered. Crazy Monkey first to fall, but Hypno responds right onto that misfortune. Now is in the middle of a few too many members of Ryder, and now that looks like this is going the way of Ryder. They found the damage, they found the engage, and while yes, Niagara has soul point, Ryder have found a way back into this game.
Yeah, holy moly, Llamas is just going to be the last bit of damage that they need. Immediate pings onto Baron. That still has an objective bounty on it as well. So this is a whole lot of gold into Ryder's pockets here. They're now down only 2,000 and some change gold here, and that's about to change after picking up this Baron as well. They have some easy outer turrets to be grabbing for themselves as well that probably will still have the objective bounty at the end of this. But this is, man, such a big turnaround for Ryder. Such a huge team fight win. And it's all off the back of Hepatcon's ultimate there. So much damage went across the team outside of vision that Niagara could not answer. And they had already spent so many tools trying to get into the team. But Crazy Monkey looking to fight.
Crazy Monkey going a little
Teleport.
too crazy, as I don't think he was expecting to deal that little damage. Ninjax maybe trying to pick off 1 or 2 members, but that empowered Q going wide. I mean, Ahri is huge. Should be able to escape here. And that big objective bounty cleaned up as Ryder are right back in the thick of this, only 200 gold down.
Yeah, this gold is now evened up, and it's all because of that play around the Drake right there. Such a huge turnaround. Let them grab so much shutdown gold and claim an objective bounty on Baron as well. And now they're Baroned up. They might be a team that could successfully do a 1-3-1 as well. Like, this is looking really good for Ryder right now. They might be able to turn this around.
I certainly think they could. Feels like the tempo is already shifting. We're seeing a lot of those trouble spots already shored up. And, I mean, we can see the only real deficits are in the top and mid lane, whereas jungle completely even. Bot lane, squarely ahead. Hopikong, that carry in the bot side on the Misfortune, so far ahead of Izzy Sweetheart. And that's a rough place to be if you're the Xayah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is... Ooh, excuse me. I mean, this is you know, two snowbally champions going up against each other on either side here. And Hopakon has finally gotten a pretty big lead for themselves and is doing the lethality build from Season 11 Worlds. This is going to be a Misfortune's ultimates that are definitely going to hurt. You need to have some deeper vision if you're going to go for these neutral objectives in order to make sure you have eyes on Hopakon. He is going to be the most important member of their team if they're going to look for fights. They need to know where, because there isn't a direct counter to Misfortune, right? Misfortune hasn't been in the meta for a long time, and so people haven't like outright looked for counters for them. But Misfortune has never really gotten any sort of substantial nerfs to her kit that would make her, like, her lethality build just not as useful, right? They've got a lot of nerfs to, like, her Make It Rain, her Double Up, but, like, never her ultimate. So this is still a build that's very powerful. It just wasn't as powerful as some other things. And now with Xayah being locked in, this was a very good Misfortune pick, and now we're seeing it actually start to shine here as, you know, they now have a Collector, they have Eclipse, and now they might be looking to build a Lord Dominic's as well, which is going to be a very, very tough time for a lot of these champions who have been building HP.
Yeah, I mean, this Viego and the Ornn, they're not going to be as tanky as you expect, as now Ahri is huge, finding one. That Solar Eclipse just at a bullet time range, but still a quick 2 kills over to Ryder as they're looking to take down this final Tier 1 standing in their way.
Holy moly. Who knew all you had to do was just go back to Season 11? It's just like, hey, I like that Worlds meta you got there. We're going to do that in the bot lane right now. Man, I mean, that's why, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the lethality build for Misfortune
bringing the damage.
Yeah, still very powerful. You can't count it out just yet. Once again, it did not receive any significant nerfs. That build is still powerful. If you are looking to play Misfortune in solo queue, this is the build to still go. It's still very, very powerful, right? You just need to have your team a little bit based around it. You have to play some pretty safe in the laning phase, but that's what Ryder did. They had an extended laning phase that Misfortune was able to play relatively safe, didn't die a whole bunch of times in that early kind of laning phase, only died like once they got into the team fights. But now Misfortune just needed a couple items. Now she's got them, and now she's huge. It's going to be very, very hard to fight in some of these enclosed corridors, or even when Leona sets up a very good ultimate. And now we're going to be going into another. This is Soul Point. Niagara needs this dragon in order to get the Infernal Soul, and Ryder's already here beating them to the punch.
Yeah, Ryder already here with complete vision control. Thaddeus being that front line, although I will say Sir Mumu the first back on Krugs, a little separated from this fight, but doesn't look like he'll get too punished, as neither team wanting to start things off. This sort of line of scrimmage has been established, but Llama's looking to push it up further and further, start to box Ryder into a bit of a corner. But now, maybe that they've pushed them behind the wall, this is a space that Niagara could try and start up this Drake. As here comes the rotate around from Hopikong.
Oh, no.
So looking to go in. There's a Soul Flare, there's the bullet time. Can't get on top of the Misfortune fast enough, and there's already the damage done. That's all that they need, is Sir Mumu just trying to finish the last couple kills. A double kill already for Hopikong, and there's the triple to finish off the ace for Sir Mumu as a 5-4-0 out of Ryder.
Holy moly. That was insane. That's exactly the second that I saw the solar flare land on at least one person and then hit a different person, I was like, okay, if the second person just got the slow, this is probably pretty done. And then I saw the Make It Rain. I was like, okay, well, there's the Eclipse trigger right there. And now Ryder just gets to continue their rampage through this map right now. Look at how much they've been able to push into Niagara's base after Niagara had such a dominant beginning of the game. You kind of called it. You know, Niagara had such a very good early game, and even coming into about the 20-minute mark when we regularly have seen them start to falter, we still saw them be very powerful, but it was just kind of a flip of a switch that gave Ryder this kind of huge lead, tied up the gold, and now Niagara's struggling. Like they're not willing to take these risks with the dragon. They had some pretty good positioning to pull the Drake away from Ryder, and then they bunched up in the river there, which led Leona, Ari is huge, in order to get a pretty, really good solar flare. It didn't need to be on the whole team. It just needed to stun at least one person for it to be a significant ultimate for Hopakon to follow up with that bullet time.
Yeah, it's just about finding those significant picks. As again, Niagara, this is where they tend to struggle. They'll pick something with strong early game, although Surmumu might be getting caught out here. And this could be a big pick, but that bullet time just so massive. And the healing out of the Gore Drinker nearly keeping the Kayn alive. It's a 1-for-1. Jungler's traded. We might see the ADC for Ryder fall. That's a big shutdown going on to Izzy Sweetheart, as this game is still very much alive.
Yeah, this game is alive. I think this is the opportunity to go for Baron. They're up. They might be down a smite, but they're up 4 members. They have a man advantage. There's not really a smite on the enemy team either. They have an objective bounty on it. They have the man advantage. This is going to be the time to do so, but it looks like they're opting for shoving out these waves instead. They're not really going to have another opportunity for quite a while in order to look for this Baron here, but it is really the easiest objective bounty for them to grab on the map, is now they're the ones with the objective bounty right now.
Yeah, and this game, it really just feels like Niagara, their damage was all centered around this Viego and the Karma, and once you hit that 3-item period, you really need that Xayah to step in, and she's been on the back foot of a lot of these trades. She's been sort of sacrificed this game, and it's starting to show.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you've been looking for, right? This Karma has some very good early game damage, but she definitely starts to fall off as this game goes on and on. More people are building magic resist. She doesn't have any more points to put into her Q, right? The only other damaging ability she has is her tether, but she's really using that as more of a CC tool than a damage tool, right? And then, you know, her shield does get more powerful, but that's probably already maxed out at this point. And so now we have to say, okay, well, where is the damage coming from? It's going to be Hypno, and it's going to be Izzy, right? Izzy is going to be your safest target to do so, but sometimes Mumu is just going in for these kind of like pretty aggressive roams in order to find out Izzy here, and sometimes they're able to find it. And so they really have to keep their eyes on Kayn. They have to keep their eyes on Leona. They really can't make any sort of like a greedy plays here. They have to be careful, and this is not a good place to be if you're Niagara right now. This is a real tight corridor.
It's a tight corridor, great for a bullet time, but also great for an Ornhorn. As we're going to see, Llama is the one to face check this bush and forces Ryder away from their setup. Now, important note, Thaddeus not here, still rotating from that bot lane split push, but should be around if any Baron shenanigans begin, as it looks like both teams just sort of staring each other down and going back to their lanes.
Yeah, it's a stare down right now, and the winner of this is going to be grabbing Baron, which is probably going to end the game for probably either team here. Both of them have some pretty good wave clear in combination with that Baron buff as well. Should be able to help them push a whole lot into the enemy base, and now we're 35 minutes in. These are some very long death timers that if Niagara or Ryder were to get Baron right now, it's the end of the game, and they have to be careful, because if Niagara makes... Okay, they're going to start it up. They've started up the Baron, and here comes Ryder to answer.
Yeah, they've started up the Baron, and there's the TP for Thaddeus. I think it was probably triggered off of seeing him in the bot side, and the second that comes through, they're going to concede the space. Doesn't seem like Niagara wants to take this fight, and maybe Ryder, sensing weakness, could look towards this Baron instead, but neither team wanting to be the one on the back foot, getting engaged upon. Surmumu forced to back away. Hypno starting the fight, jumps onto the Ahri, but runs right into a bullet time, finds Nyan Ranger, and now the bullet time was stopped, slowed down, and Niagara striking back. Surmumu the only one left in the back line, and this is likely to be the game, or at the very least a very impactful push, as everything is up for Niagara. They have Infernal Soul, they have Baron, and they have a base that they can start to break.
Yeah, this was a very good start to the fight by Niagara here. Hypno basically scared Hopatcon into using that bullet time right there. It was a bullet time that really only hit Hypno and Ninjax, and for a good portion of that, Hypno became untargetable. Izzy did as well. It was really hard to get some significant damage because a lot of them just weren't CC'd. There wasn't a good setup to the bullet time, and now after that huge button is now gone, it's the go button for Niagara. Niagara's like, okay, the bullet time is down. Go, 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 go. They don't have any other damage after that. Ari is 1 in 6 and has 3 items in comparison to everyone else. That's pretty much on par. Fiora basically has half an item, right? She doesn't do as much damage in these team fights because she has that hull breaker, right? And it's going to be just it really is on Hopatcon to be dealing the significant damage for the cleanup for the rest of the team in order to be successful. So without that bullet time, Niagara's just go, 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 go. Let's win this team fight right now. This is our opportunity. Let's take it. And not only did they come out huge with that team fight, they might be down gold now, but now we have to talk about the gold value of an Infernal Soul and Baron buff as well. Niagara is in a pretty good position to maybe end this game just now.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the sort of team gold value of an Infernal is right around 1.5 to 2k gold, and you combine that alongside the ornaments on every single member of Niagara, that's, you know, another probably team-wide 3k gold, that and just free stats that they're getting. And that's a very big deal when you're reaching the late game, and as these players are running out of item slots, those ornaments are key.
Yeah, and the ornaments are key. The Infernal Soul is key. There's a whole lot of stuff that, you know, Ryder just doesn't have access to right now. That, sure, they're powerful, but, you know, just the amount of gold value that they're getting from these stats that Niagara has right now is really significant. So we need to take a look at how they're going to be able to use this and make sure that they, you know, don't make any sort of greedy movements here that are going to cost them their lead, right? Because right now their lead is theoretical, right? It's just like we're talking about the gold value of something that does not have a direct gold value. So we need to they still need to play careful because those bullet times still hurt.
Oh, they certainly do, as Crazy Monkey just taken out of the picture, and now Hypno, and of course, Ninjax very, very low, although here comes that Xayah damage starting to kick in. Hypno looking for resets, can't find any, it's just Llamas and Izzy, but Izzy might find the damage, not enough, as Sir Mumu gets there. Nye Ranger still alive, and Ryder holds on.
This is why I had to emphasize these gold leads were theoretical, right? It all comes down to whether or not they're able to execute on these advantages that they have. And sometimes Hopatcon, all they need to do is just point bullet time in the right direction. And if Niagara is not ready for it, if they're not expecting it, they are going to eat so much damage. Probably for the nth time. Misfortune is a strong champion still. Bullet time still hurts in a lethality build. And with Viego, with Xayah, with Karma, with all these champions that have died in this last team fight, you know, excluding Llamas, there's not a whole lot of armor on them. And so lethality is definitely going to hurt. Right, so this is a team that really needs to play careful if they're playing again, if they're trying to match up against Hopatcon, because all they need to do, make it rain, bullet time, and you're hurt. You're nearly dead. Anyone who survived that last bullet time right there walked away with barely any HP that allowed Ryder to clean up that team fight. This is such a huge turnaround. It's been a game of turnarounds back and forth. You know, we've talked about Niagara having a good lead, Ryder having a really good singular team fight that gave them a bunch of gold in their pockets, and Niagara getting 2 objectives at the same time, being able to push into the enemy team. But now we're back. We're flipping the coin one more time, and now Ryder is the one in the lead, in the driver's seat here. Because once again, you have to watch this Misfortune. It's the linchpin to Ryder's team fights right here. And if you are engaging and behind lackadaisical with how you're positioning, you're going to feel the pain. It's going to hurt. You have to not turn on autopilot just yet. Oh no, Ranger goes down.
Yeah, it looked like Ranger was sort of on that autopilot you were talking about, just scanning that top side of the jungle, trying to maybe clear out some vision or just make sure that it was free from everyone or just rotating from the bot side. But again, getting caught out by Niagara is big. Although, of course, everyone is looking at that Misfortune. She's the one you have to take down. And now with GA, it's going to be that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, once again, there couldn't be a better item for Hopakon to build right now. Like I've been saying, linchpin to a lot of their damage on Ryder's team comp right here. So just giving them an extra opportunity to go in with that damage is going to be huge. Once again, Niagara has to respect the amount of damage that Hopakon does and watch where they're positioning.
Yeah, and we're starting to see some of that impact of when Niagara slows things down and they take advantage of this Karma and her ability to just poke Hopakon out of bullet time distance and just giving themselves that much more space, which is what it feels like Niagara's been missing.
Yeah, it's definitely... We'll definitely see, because they are still strong. You know, both these teams are really strong. You know, we see it in the gold, we see it in the theoretical gold, right? Both of these teams are very strong. Neither of them can really kind of go easy on the other one, right? If Ryder slips up and, you know, Hopakon gets caught out, then this is going to be a Niagara victory. If Niagara doesn't pay attention to where Hopakon is and makes kind of greedy engagements or even into the corridors like this, they might be in some trouble.
These corridors, bullet times used, doesn't really find much. Izzy uses the ulti aggressively, but it doesn't do all that much again. And now Elder Drake is up. Some big cooldowns burned by both teams.
Yeah, Orenhorn and Featherstorm are both down. I believe Swain ultimate was used. There's a whole lot of ultimates gone. A couple still available for Ryder, but I think in terms of ultimate economy, Ryder is still coming out on top. But because Niagara had a huge advantage in terms of positioning here, they are going to be able to get to this Drake. And now they're going to back here. I don't know if I like that idea. I think they should just be marching right to Baron or just be marching right into the base. You have Elder Drake. You can't be wasting time going back. And what are we going back for? HP bars were pretty full. There's not a whole lot of item slots left in the inventory. You know, we should have been going right from one to the other here, but it looks like they're just trying to play it safe as much as they can. You know, I can't disrespect them for it because once again, like I said, Ryder is still a team that does still need to be respected. They just can't waltz right over. But, you know, they do have Elder Drake. That's a pretty significant buff that they have.
They have sort of the buff. You know, if there was Elder Drake in the last major team fight we saw in the top lane, I think Niagara would have won it. Just out of pure sustained burn damage that they get. As 4 members strong is Niagara up around this top side, trying to clear a little space for Baron.
Yeah.
Don't like how... I mean, yes, it's good to err on the side of caution, but when you have the biggest buff in the game, is there such a thing as too cautious?
Yeah, I think it might be, right? Because now it's good to be cautious, right? They don't have as much vision into Ryder's jungle that they would like, right? And Hopakon definitely has bullet time up by now. If they're tracking the timers, bullet time is definitely up. They, you know, it was a pretty long time ago that it was used, but now maybe Ryder's the one that's being a little too cautious here. If they want to try to stop the advance from Niagara, definitely not letting them have Baron was probably the way to do it, right? Maybe just waiting out this Elder Drake buff, which is almost gone, by the way. It's past 50%. It's about a quarter, only a quarter of the time is left. Like maybe this is the play, just wait it out. Because a lot of this time was spent going back and then going to Baron, and now they're coming into the base. Let's see if they're able to end the game. Ornhorn
coming to the base. We'll see what they can do. The Ornhorn finds 2. Mumu and Ari is huge, but again, no potential follow-up. And you mentioned that Elder Drake is ticking down. It's at the very, very last vestiges. There's the ulti out of Hopakon, but immediately gets pushed away as this Ornn is massive. But it seems like there's tons of damage coming out of Ryder. As Ari is huge, the first to fall, but the Elder Drake about to expire again, but not before taking down Ranger. And now with 2 off the table, this looks to be the game-ending push. For Mumu nearly finding Ninjax, but might just fall instead. Hopakon finishes off that kill, does still have the GA, does still have a front line, and now with no Elder, bye-bye damage for Niagara. As Izzy about to res Llamas being massive, so huge on this Ornn. Thaddeus, though, with that spot able to finish it off, and Niagara still unable to finish the game.
Yeah, to tack another 5 minutes onto this game, maybe. We're 45.5 minutes in. Ryder still holding on. Niagara not quite able to end the game, even with Baron and Elder Drake. And man, it's gotta. Maybe I'm more confident in saying this now, but I definitely have to chalk it up to just them losing Elder Drake midway through that final fight. Like, Elder Drake is an insanely powerful buff. To waste your time backing and then going to Baron is just a huge chunk of time that is you're just not utilizing that buff, right? Sure, you want that Baron buff in order to make sure that you can end the game, but those overlaps, because you chose to back, is now not as long as you'd like it to be, right? Now they have to spend a little bit more time trying to shove in these waves into a team that has some really good wave clear, to say the least, between Misfortune, Rost, and Ari. Like, these are some very good wave clear that Niagara just can't just shove in the waves and just like, okay, I'm just gonna shove in top and leave, and oops, well, the wave is pushing back in their favor again, because you know they just can't do that, right? And now this Baron is also wearing out for these two members that still have it, right? They're only going to have that for just a little bit longer. The timings on these buffs is really, and Niagara kind of overestimating them is really what's being their downfall in these kind of very, very late stages of the game here.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like it, because in the middle of that fight, it was all Niagara, and then once that burn goes away, that execute potential goes away, Thaddeus and Sir Mumu are able to just heal through everything. Now it looks like Niagara does just want to push down this bot side inhibitor turret. We'll be able to take that down with the benefit of that Call of the Forge God. But now that cooldown is gone for the ensuing fight, as Sir Mumu and Thaddeus looking for an angle, maybe a big knock-up. Hypno Stun discourages any of that, and Elder Drake is up in a minute.
Yeah, this is going to be how Niagara stays in this game and maybe ends the game as well. They're going to look for the second Elder Drake buff here. They're trying to make sure that they have super waves and multiple waves, because there's only one Nexus turret left, and it has about 50% HP last time we took a look at it. Healing does happen for the Nexus turret, but it's very, very slow. So that damage is less sticky, should we say. It's not 100%, but it is definitely something that you need to keep your eyes on, especially with two waves of super minis coming in, but we got to fight instead.
Looks like we might have fight starting. Solar Flare already used, but so is the Diego ulti, and there's the bullet time, not finding too much damage on the entire team, as this might be what Niagara needed, a bullet time that doesn't land. But now, taking one and Elder Drake up in 10 seconds, it looks like Niagara would rather play it safe and go for that super buff once again, although maybe it's just an elaborate bait. Ranger going to fall here, and that's another big pick. Second Call of the Forge God, it feels, in the last minute, as Izzy finds Sir Mumu, and you can end the game. No need for Elder, just march down to the Nexus.
Yeah, I was about to say, I saw some folks making their way towards Elder Drake, and like, who are we executing with the Elder Drake? Who are we executing with the Elder Drake? Just go, it's fine, just go. There's not a whole lot of damage dealers. Hopacon already used their ultimate. If you're a lethality Misfortune, that's all you've got. So without that ultimate there, you know, Hopacon doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So now just run and end the game, and that's exactly what they're doing. Niagara, game number one.
Yeah, Niagara taking game number one in this show match up against Ryder, as again, there were some roster issues for Ryder. So so Niagara does get an automatic push forward, but it's good to see them win game one. But we're still seeing some of those same flaws that plagued Niagara through the regular season. They are able to find these early advantages, but struggle to transition it and close out games.
Yeah, I mean, that was a real struggle towards the end of the game there. And I think most of it was just kind of chalked up to that kind of team fight around that dragon buff in like, I think it was about like the 20, like late 20 minute mark, that Ryder was able to get those shutdowns, was able to get the objective bounty off the Drake, and then transition into, I believe, a Baron as well that gave a lot of gold to the Misfortune. So now Misfortune is a huge threat that's set up very, very well by their team. And now they have all this damage that now needs to be respected. Niagara just can't go easily into a lot of these fights and now has to play just a little bit more respectful. And then they also had some issues of like not fully utilizing the buffs that they got with the first Elder Drake. You know, they wasted a whole lot of time backing, then getting Baron, and then pushing, that when it came time to try to end the game, they lost that Elder Drake buff, which is significantly better than Baron in a team fight, and now they have to wait even longer in order to close out this game. That, you know, if they were their next match is against Marist. Marist is a good team and not going to give them these opportunities. The second that Marist would have gotten a lead like Ryder would have, I could have definitely seen a better team just ending the game off of that.
Yeah, definitely. As I believe we are going to see some of the highlights of this past game and just sort of see all of these moments that you brought up. As, again, there were some huge moments. This first blood, getting the ball rolling for Niagara, but then again, as they continued to strike forward, it was tough. As all we're going to get to see more Llamas clips. I love these.
Yeah. Llamas clips aren't exactly super flashy, but it's always about the timing. It's about just, you know, oh, hey, there's the Ornhorn from downtown, right? And this is the team. This is a very good team fight right here. We want to keep our eyes on Viega. Watch Hypno right here. Goes immediately over to a Hopakon. Becomes Misfortune. Goes over the wall here. Gets a great double up onto Ari is huge. And that's a pretty big play here, because now he's able to finish off the kill, become Leona, and then go forward and finish off that last kill there. That was such a huge play right there. And this is another Llamas clip that all he did was just kind of walk towards turret and just kind of survive. But it's the timing of this Ornhorn right here. It's the follow-up from Hypno as well. It's what really made that play very, very good right there.
Yeah, and we just see these moments of brilliance, you know, out of Niagara. They're finding picks, they're finding ways to stay alive. And while, yes, Ryder fought back, just like in this fight where, you know, Izzy and Hypno and Crazy Monkey stepped too far forward, they were still in relative control, you know. Ninjax coming down and just sort of one-shotting Ranger here. There were such great moments out of Niagara. They just struggled to convert after the fact, where they were finding the picks. They had the vision control. Surmumu was barely a champion even after becoming Rost, but that lead was too strong to handle until we get, I think, the next team fight where, again, that Misfortune just came up huge.
Yeah, I mean, this oh no, this is the Dragon Steel right here. I mean, this was a great chunk of gold to put in their pockets, and definitely a good way to get them into this game. I'm just, you know, I think we're both waiting. I think the two of us are waiting for that one team fight, because that one was huge. And yeah, I mean, this was another big fight right here, really showing off like just how strong these folks were at claiming kind of like these early portions of the game right here. Llamas trying to do the Llamas thing, but I think that was the most upsetting thing right here. Is this? Yeah, this is the turnaround right here. Watch this. Boom. Look at those HP bars just disappear. Opakon just dealing so much damage to this team that wasn't building a whole lot of armor into a lethality Misfortune. And now the Ryder is able to turn this around and jump back into the fight. And this was such a big turnaround that pretty much defined the rest of the game. Because now, look,
yeah,
this is where Crazy Monkey tried to go in and get a steal here. But this is Baron right after that really big win and multiple objective bounties as well. So now, yeah.
You just see more moments like this where it just felt like Ari finding a stun, Hopek Kong finding the bullet time, and then it was just Niagara falling over and over again. Like this big fight, everyone got chunked out. Hypno couldn't find the back line, and then it was just this massive split fight after two go down that Niagara can never come away from. And this is where we really saw Ryder come into, you know, control. And then it was this fight that I think led to Soul and Baron that really let Niagara take that shift again. We talked about this push and pull,
Yeah, it was a tug of war game for sure. And, you know, I just have to repeat that, like, Niagara just can't be playing like this against Marist come tomorrow. You know, this has to be a completely different team. This is a show match. You know, one of these players on Ryder isn't normally a League of Legends player, and so we have to say, like, hey, like, Niagara, you gotta, if we're just playing around, right? If this is just something like, hey, we're just goofing around, having a good time, like we're not super serious, then this is a game that, like, okay, then let's not you know, say too much from it. But if this is a game where Niagara going in is like, hey, let's just use this as a time to kind of warm ourselves up to fives for this weekend, let's, you know, just get some good practice in, then this is not a good practice for considering your next round match.
Yeah, definitely. Marist will punish you. I mean, I think that as you brought up, if we'd seen that same pull back and it was Marist on the other side instead of Ryder, they would have found a way to close that game out before, I think, the 30-minute mark. And
yeah,
those are the opportunities you can't be giving away, as, again, we're going to have to see what Niagara can do moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is definitely what we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see picks and bans in just a little bit here and see how the draft has changed up in just a little bit. I would like to see Niagara just put a little bit more emphasis onto their early game. If that's where they're the most powerful, if that's where they're the strongest in these first kind of 15-ish minutes, then let's see some champions that really excel in that. I mean, because in that game right there, we saw Zaya, we saw Ornn. I'm brain farting so bad.
We saw
Swain,
Viego,
we saw
Karma,
Viego.
and Swain,
Yeah. These are all champions that, besides Karma, have not so great early levels, right? Viego needs some items under his belt. Ornn is at his best when he starts like throwing out ornaments to everyone at around level 13. He wants a little bit more time. Zaya is a champion that builds Tear of the Goddess. Like, these are all champions that need a little bit of time, need a little bit of levels, need a little bit of gold under their belts before they can start really putting out damage. And if Niagara is a team that really excels in this early game, let's see some early game champs. Let's see some Xin Zhao, even though he got some nerfs. Let's see some Jarvan. Let's see Lee Sin, maybe. You know, and it's not wholly a draft issue, maybe. You know, but if Niagara is looking to give us a game that showcases what they're like, as opposed to let's just goof around for this show match, then let's see some early game. Let's see some stuff that's very strong in these first early minutes, in these first few levels. Let's see them excel where they can excel and not give a whole bunch of holes for teams to punch through.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see, as you brought up, that J4 or some other early game jungle picks, because it felt like they wanted to play through an early lead in jungle and mid. And if they can do that, maybe you put the bot lane on something more supportive instead of something like Zaya that wants to carry late. Bring the Ashe that we were talking about earlier that can give you those spaces and give you those opportunities.
Yeah. But it looks like we are going to get into picks and bans in just a little bit here. Definitely any sort of predictions here? What do you think we're gonna be taking? Do you think that we're going to see a team? Do you think Niagara's just be like, okay, you know, let's play to our strengths, let's play these early game, or do you think they're going to be still kind of experimenting with these kind of later game champions?
I think they could experiment, but I would really love them to just bring some early game, because if they could maybe take an early game lead, crush it, take a 25-minute game, that might send a message to Mariners. We're like, hey, you need to be able to respect this team's early game. You can't just drag it out by picking something that can survive if they show the capacity to end the game early.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be their pathway to victory against Marist in general, right? I think you illuminated it pretty well, that against these top tier teams, you know, these teams with better standings than Niagara, they were able to play very well in this early game. Let's play to our strengths here. Let's make sure that we can end this game before, you know, we give our opponents opportunity to take advantage of maybe decision paralysis, maybe some like uncertainty, maybe some maybe playing a little too scared of what our opponents have been able to get in the time that we haven't been able to collapse and close out the game.
Yeah, that is exactly what I think. You know, they can show the early game. They've shown it against some great teams, and we have to see if they can continue to do so. As again, the players are just finishing up their pro draft. I believe we should be getting into client draft very, very quickly, and we'll be able to see exactly how these teams answer. And just please give me some early game. That's what I'm really asking for. Just give me some early game focus. You succeed at it, you do well, you can snowball, but then you brought up a phrase that I really liked, which was decision paralysis, where we saw, you know, in that last fight, the game-ending fight, we saw some of them turn back to Elder Drake, and it's like, those are the kind of decisions I feel you just need to be snapping at. And I hope that they can start snapping into those decisions when it comes to some earlier, more impactful moments, like 20-minute Barons or pushing for inhibitors.
Yeah, because there were some opportunities where Niagara had a pretty like, not 100%, but definitely like a 60-40, a 75-35 kind of favorable thing. But they weren't willing to take those kinds of risks because, you know, oh, what if, you know, the 45% chance thing happens? You know, video games are games, especially competitive ones, are games of risks. And if you only go for the ones that are 100%, you're never really going to be able to find your strong advantages. And, you know, it's what separates the good teams from the really good teams.
Yeah, and that is that separation. As I believe we found out there's some technical issues on the floor from some of the players. So we're going to go to a very, very quick break. And the second those are resolved, we'll be right back with Draft as we get into Game 2 of this show match between Niagara and Ryder. And welcome back to this matchup between Niagara and Ryder, as we've got a side swap coming through as we're jumping right into draft.
Yeah, let's see if there's any adaptations from this previous game here. I mean, immediately we see the Leona Respect banned away. We see the Lilia once again banned away from the previous game as well. And we're probably going, yeah, we already see the Ornn banned away as well. Once again, Tryndamere, if you're looking to have any sort of reasonable game of League of Legends, you have to take Tryndamere off the table.
Yeah, especially away from Thaddeus. Loves to play those split pushers. Loves just sort of live on that island and be really, really annoying for the enemy team. And I mean, we saw that sort of with the Fiora. Wasn't able to like fully commit, I think, to that split pushing just because Llamas was so tough to deal with. But now going for a similar role, picking up the Scion. So another very, very big tank going the way of Niagara.
Yeah, so, I mean, Llamas once again is going to be playing just the biggest boy around. Scion is a very large champion. Scion is, I mean, to say that he's not tanky is wildly incorrect. Haven't seen him a whole lot this meta. I think there's a whole lot of like very funny builds that you can build with lethality, but based on how tanky the enemy team already kind of is and how much incidental armor they'll probably build, even if they're not super tanky, I don't think it's going to be the greatest Scion of builds to do, especially with how little tanks that your team has. So even though I would love to probably see the lethality build out of the Scion here, we're probably not going to see it.
Yeah, probably not, as we're seeing, I think, a much more linear composition out of Niagara this time. They've got their Assassin in the Akali, their Bruiser in the Viego, the tank in the Scion, and the Hyper Carry bot lane, even though Jinx was just nerfed.
Yeah. Jinx is going to have a little bit of a harder time in this early game. Varus, on the other hand, did receive some changes, but I think you and I came to the conclusion that it wasn't like super impactful. Like, it's just a couple numbers changes on like the base magic damage on his ultimate and also some on hit damage with his W. So it's nothing like wild that we're just like, whoa, Varus is huge now. It's just some light changes that like might, you know, help Varus out. If you're very good at Varus, these numbers are probably going to look a lot more substantial to someone who's just like an average player at Varus. So we'll have to see how Hopatcon pilots this champion. If it is going to be similar to what we saw with the Misfortune, maybe this is a lethality Varus, in which case, you know, that's going to be definitely interesting to see with a lot of these kind of big hit champions with the Karma and the Ahri as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate the lethality, but I think you run into the issue of that Scion. You know, if he stands in front and just tanks all of your blighted arrows, there is nothing that you're going to be able to do. You know, you're never reaching that Jinx, you're never reaching that Lulu, and it's just going to be a really rough game, I think, to try and play out. Now, yes, if you get a huge Chains of Corruption, then maybe you can do some damage, but if you have to deal with that Scion, I'm not seeing an answer except for maybe that Jax out of Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be tough for sure. I think the biggest thing that I want to highlight for Niagara here is definitely the Lulu. The Lulu I like a whole lot on squads that usually have these kind of like half tanks, right? And Viego Akali kind of match those kind of builds. Akali does incidentally build some health, build some armor in her build sometimes, and so does Viego as well. Viego has, you know, a whole lot of incidental kind of healing as well. And the big thing I want to mention this is because Lulu is very good at taking folks who have like some defensive itemization and turning them into full tanks, right? Wild Growth is not just a defensive tool that can save your AD carry, but it's also an offensive tool that can turn someone who has this kind of half damage, half tank build, turn them into a full tank with a slow aura, and then they still have that kind of strong damage that you have to respect, right? And by putting it on Scion, you also have another, once again, very beefy frontliner that is hard to stop. You have an Akali and a Viego who are going to be significantly harder to kill and are going to be in the melee range with that slow aura as well. This Lulu is going to be very, very strong for this Niagara squad with how many melee champions they have and being able to use it as a defensive tool for this hyper carry and Jinx.
Yeah, what I want to see is I want to see the Akali Shroud, dash in, get hugified, all of Ryder get knocked up, and that Jinx just have a heyday with that bounce house comp. Now, is it likely? Probably not, but it's something you have to consider if you are Ryder stepping forward. And what I really like out of Niagara, they're giving themselves a linear win condition. You know, you can have your Jinx hyper carry you through, you can have your Akali and your Viego patch some of those bumps, and Akali, if she gets out of control, can just win the game on her own. And I think that shift from a Karma that wants to sort of be this mid-game damage dealer that just becomes a full support in the late game effectively, now you have an Akali who is just full steam ahead. Let's win this thing.
Yeah, and kind of I want to point out with Ryder here is I'm not exactly 100% on this Jax pick. Maybe it's something that they're very comfortable on, they feel very confident on it, but with regards to the rest of the team composition that they've drafted here, it seems that they want to fight 5v5. You know, they have a Varus, they have an Ahri for picks, they have a Karma, they have a Sejuani. This all, you know, 3.5 out of these champions say team fight to me, and then Jax is just like, well, I'm gonna go split push. You guys have fun. Bye. And it's like Jax can team fight. A lot of his abilities very selfish, very single target based with his damage types, with his damage, and it's just really tough to like get that kind of damage that you're going to be getting on multiple targets, or even multiple target CC that you are going to be getting with Sejuani, with Varus, with Karma, and doesn't really have a strong initiation power that Sejuani and Ahri have in order to start fights. So Jax as a team fighter, not so great. So now I'm just a little confused as to how this Jax fits into this puzzle piece that's the Ryder team composition.
Yeah, the only thing that I could think of, I completely agree. So much of this Ryder team wants to fight, but I was thinking, maybe they drafted this in a 1-3-1 kind of setup where you throw the Jax and the Ahri into their side lanes. You have this lethality Varus that acts a lot like, in the old days of mid lane Varus, where you're just a wave clear bot and you just make sure that they can't really siege you because you have better wave clear and better tools in that regard. And maybe that's what they're thinking, but it's so tough to pull off, and it requires a ton of commitment out of this team to really just be like, Jax, you're getting a hull breaker, you're staying in that lane, and we do not want to see you. It's very tough to pull off.
Yeah, and not to mention you need kind of like an early lead as well in order to force this team that, already doesn't have the resources to fight you 5v5 is now has to split up their team comp in order to match your wave, probably not as well. Because I think you hit the nail on the head that if this is a 1-3-1 split pushing comp, that their wave clear is insane. Between Jax just having an insanely good way to kill all the minions really quickly and Siege's towers really well as Ahri and Varus's wave clear, as Karma as well. If this is the team comp that they're looking for, they need to beat Niagara in this early game in order to set up these 1-3-1 pushes. But I kind of already said it. They need to beat Niagara in the early game, which Ryder didn't exactly do in the previous game. And Niagara is pretty known for having the stronger earlier portion of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in MAAC, they've always sort of been able to find the early game regardless of who they were up against. Well, of course, against Maris, they struggled a little more. They were still able to go toe-to-toe. They were able to go toe-to-toe or even ahead at times against Manhattan, against Fairfield. But now you just have to be able to close the games up against Ryder. And if you can close against Ryder, maybe you can find that lead, maybe you can find that advantage and push it up against Maris. And it's all going to be about having a confident series here, because playing with confidence is, I think, something that a lot of players don't necessarily think about, especially in a LAN environment, especially in a playoffs environment.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, playing in person is definitely a little bit different than, sitting in your own sitting in your own apartment, sitting in your own bedroom, sitting wherever you are, and playing League of Legends just kind of by yourself. You have the crowd, you have your other players kind of screaming in your ear, you have the other team that you could probably hear as well, and you also hear my voice, so it's probably really annoying if you're a player, to be honest. So
I think you have a wonderful voice, Shinkari.
Thank you.
Of course.
Likewise,
but
to
no,
yourself
I mean,
as well. But yeah, go ahead.
No, but I mean, like, those LAN jitters, I understand them. Recently, some buddies and I, there was a for-fun, free-to-enter league tournament that we went to at a nearby, players club, and it worked out. But now we're going to see the first gank of the game. Looks like Niagara wants to get things started as the dive-in from Ninjax, but the immediate charm turns the fight on its head, and Ranger finds first blood.
Wow. Wow. Sometimes, we talked about before how all Llamas was really doing was walking backwards into their own turret, but sometimes that's all you need to do against some of these folks who get a main character disease, and they're just like, yeah, I got it, let's go. And then immediately, don't consider the repercussions of their actions here. So first blood goes over to Ranger in the mid lane, but both summoner spells are down on both sides, so even though Ranger is going to come back to lane with a little bit more AP than Ninjax here, they are going to have to just keep their eyes on the jungler here, because, you know, that stun is very easy to set for Viego, and Ari, pre-level 6, does not have a whole lot of mobility, really has to rely on that charm in order to avoid ganks.
Definitely, and we're looking to see a potential repeat from Hypno. And now, no, actually there is the flash available for the Viego, but still that charm perfectly timed. And of course, as you said, sometimes all you gotta do is walk backwards, and it worked here. But sort of what I was talking about before that first blood fight was we entered a for fun, like, LAN at a local, like, I guess, internet esports cafe in a way. And it was weird playing at, like, not your setup. Even though I had, like, some of my own equipment, it felt weird. And then, like, your buddy's right next to you, but you're not used to that. And there are all of these little things that can impact you while you're trying to play your best game.
Yeah. Like, yeah, the LAN jitters, they probably also, like, some of these teams, like, took a while to, like, get to Atlantic City as well. Like, this is a whole lot of a whole lot of stuff that could be impacting their gameplay that maybe we might not be able to know 100%, you know. And this will definitely impact, like, some of these games that need to be kind of executed perfectly. And if you're not ready for it, if you're not prepared, then it's really going to impact your play a whole lot.
It certainly is. As we're seeing Ryder use some of these early advantages, and you can already start to see, I think, a little bit of, you know, those range debuffs out of Izzy, not able to contest the Varus as much as you used to be able to. Some of that mana debuff, that mana nerf, so that you can not contest again at range with your fishbones as often as you may have liked to before.
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest change for Jinx. Like, it was one of the kind of like shadow buffs that she received in season 11, but now okay, we got a little bit of an early Drake here. Ryder playing a pretty dangerous game as the bottom lane shows up here. But yeah, it was one of the shadow buffs that Jinx received throughout season 11 that is now basically reverted. There's all those changes are gone now. You know, and having that much mana that you need to spend on these kind of very powerful auto attacks early, that before you could kind of get away with, even though they were less powerful at level 1, level 2, level 3, you know, but they definitely had their mana cost lowered, which means you could just do more of them.
Yeah, and being able to just sort of auto use just fishbones on all of those caster creeps and maybe get some splash damage down. You can't do that as liberally as you maybe want to anymore, just because of that increased mana cost and because you don't have the same range you had, you know. Just a change of, you know, 25 range, that's significant enough, because that's where a lot of these little bits of spacing can come into play, and some great players really know how to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and once again, if we're taking a look to the future, because we know that Niagara is moving on, you know, that is going to be something that better teams will be able to answer, will be able to punish. You know, your mispositioning is something that separates, like, bronze, gold, silver, even like some diamond to master tiers players. You know, recognizing these very small movements where they can make as many capitalizations as they can, right? As now, Mumu and Ninjax.
Yeah, Ninjax level 6, and now with the support of the bot lane, might be able to do quite a bit, as there is the kill going over to Crazy Monkey once again. Doesn't matter if it's on Swain or Lulu, still going for it. Now Hypno on the Sejuani, gets the stun onto Hotbat, but no team to finish off the kill, though this could turn into first Drake heading the way of Niagara.
Yeah, is he going a little too far forward there? Luckily, Ranger doesn't have a whole lot of mana in their pockets right now, so can't fully collapse onto Izzy. Went pretty deep into the enemy jungle there, so I think at the end of the day, we're real happy about that. Niagara gets to pick up the first Drake of the game, which once again is the Ocean Drake. Maybe we'll see another Inferno Soul this time around, as the next Drake is a Mountain Drake.
Yeah, so could get a repeat of the Soul from game 1 into this next one. But I'm going to say, on Swain, not so bad if you get the first kill. On Lulu, as opposed to your Jinx, your Akali, or your Viego, certainly not where you want that influx of gold to be.
Yeah. I mean, this is... Before, it was like, okay, Crazy Monkey is on Swain, like, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world, right? Swain that's dealing more damage is Swain doing their job as Swain support, right? It's a kill lane that you have on the bottom, but now you're playing Lulu, so now it's definitely not ideal. You know, I am a big proprietor and preacher of the term KS stands for kill secured, but when, you know, the kill was very easily to get you, and Lulu doesn't need to do any more damage, and you're taking the kill away from either a Viego or a Jinx, then that's when KS stands for kill stolen. So it's definitely not ideal right now for this Jinx or this Viego, but they do have some money in their pockets as a consolation prize.
Yes, certainly do have that consolation prize. Still have the assists, still have that bonus experience moving forward. So at the very least, there's still those victories going the way of Niagara. And I think most importantly, Ninjax is now a little bit more enabled in that mid lane as Hypno, potentially getting caught out, has to ulti away from Thaddeus, but does choose to re-engage, does have the choo-choo train coming in, but too much damage out of Thaddeus as this Jax already found 1 kill. Could it be 2? And no, this Llama's on the Scion too tanky, but Ninjax caught without a team trying to dash away, but Ranger almost able to find it, but no more charges of that ultimate in use, and Ninjax will barely skirt away.
Yeah, real sloppy from Niagara here. Definitely a communication that might have been better had Llamas had a little bit more time to make their way down towards the pit right there. If Hypno had just kited towards Llamas and let Llama's ultimate and then re-engaged after the ultimate had landed, or even came close to landing if he had canceled it early for the slow, then that would have been the time to re-engage. But Hypno re-engages too early. He then gets a whole bunch of damage thrown back in response, and then he goes down, and by the time Llama shows up, it's a 1v2 that, you know, at this stage of the game, Scion just can't handle. So now we're in a sticky situation, and then Ninjax, I think he might have been matching the roam from Ranger and ends up walking into a 1v3 that has to spend a flash in order to get out of. So just a real sloppy situation here from Niagara in these first 10 minutes here.
Yeah, and what's tough is in this bot side, I think Hypno wanted to bring that Herald down, get some Pleat Gold onto the Jinx, start enabling her that much faster. But now, you know, after Izzy's been poked out that much by the Varus, you're running into more trouble. It looks like there was a bit of a chase onto Ranger, but does spot out Hypno here, so won't be any issue for the Ahri. Does almost have that Spirit Dash, and of course does always have the W for that bonus move speed.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I think Ranger has been doing a good job of making sure that those river brushes are warded. I believe the one in mid lane is his. I'm not quite sure whose ward it is in that pixel brush. If it ends up being Sejuani's, sure. It probably is based on Sejuani's ward score. But this has been like a very good way, defensive early bit for NY Ranger here, who has been doing a good job of saying like, hey, like Diego's been showing a whole lot of attention mid lane. Let me make sure that I'm constantly warded so I can keep this aggression going.
Yeah, as in the top side, we've got a bit of a scuffle. Thaddeus does have that recurve bow building towards the Blade of the Ruined King, and is starting to do a little bit more damage to Llamas, but Llamas does have the Bramble Vest, and sort of has the, alright, have fun item, because, again, you just can't do much with those early Grievous and that damage, but Hoppat finding a kill onto Hypno, as Ryder having some great map movements and really punishing Niagara overstepping.
Yeah, there's a pretty good opportunity here. They might not have like the cleanest take on the Drake, but right now they have a good lead and they're already having a vision advantage. So the second that this Drake spawns, Ryder is already in a good position to go and try to take it here. So I think they should continue to put this pressure here. Ooh, we have another dive by Ninjax.
Ooh. Ninjax trying to do what he can, but that Ignite might be just too much. Does find the kill somehow with the last auto, but Sir Mumu flashes forward, does grab the kill. Honestly, not sure if Flash was needed, but still a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. As now Herald does get spawned. I think it was running out of time. And the rest of Niagara looking to contest this dragon. Neither team wanting to step forward, being the one to really start the fight, but Tower Dragon aggro still on to Ryder. This is a tough spot. Dragon ticking down 1,500 Both junglers having their upgraded smite, so 900 is the number to watch. There's the Hugify. There's the kill onto Mumu as this fight has been turned around. Ahri is huge, taken out. Hop at Kong on the runaway. Hypno trying to finish it off and actually gets on the right side of the blast plant. Not sure what Hop at was doing as an extra kill goes the way of Hypno, and Niagara find their way right back into this game.
My guess as to what Hopakon was probably doing at the kind of the end there was maybe waiting for Hypno to maybe make a little bit more of a greedy play, and then at the last moment there, kind of hopping over the wall and giving himself more space. But yeah, it's just like a really tricky situation. I'm not quite sure what it was. I'm a little confused as well, but you know, this is a lot of gold that's now in Niagara's pockets thanks to those kills. They have about 800 gold over their opponent. They have a lot of damage on these outer turrets here, especially on the bottom half of the map. And with this now dragon in their pocket and Cloud Drake the soul of this map, we'll have to see how Niagara continues to navigate this this kind of now mid game.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how they navigate this mid-game. It's been one of their weaknesses. We'll see if there's some fight that shows up, but Izzy are getting pressured by Ranger, and that's going to be a kill going the way of the Ahri, I believe. Actually, one needed to try and finish off the damage. No cooldowns, but the Seeking fire missiles, I guess in a sense, or W, the Spirit Flames, finally connecting and finishing the job.
Yeah, it was a little interesting. It looked like Crazy Monkey had found out Ahri is huge on the top half of the map, on that top half of around Dragon Pit there, and was looking to do a supportal combat. And then everyone took that opportunity to immediately dive onto Jinx, who did not have a support. And then Crazy Monkey had to navigate all the way up and around in order to get back to Jinx. And it's a really odd situation. I don't think you ever go for that supportal combat right there with the minion wave pushing into your half there. And definitely a little interesting for sure, as now Ninjax looking for another fight on the NY Ranger in the mid.
Yeah, missed the shuriken, but still goes for it. Sir Mumu here for the punish. And that could be enough, as there's the frozen bolus shot, but the shroud could be enough to slip away, and indeed it is, as Ninjax barely survives, barely escapes danger. But the bot lane from Ryder moving up to the mid lane as we enter the mid game.
Yeah, this is definitely a
Ooh.
I was
Brutal
right about to say.
Ninjax.
Was right about to say, Ninjax, you can't just walk up to the minion wave right now. Let's just let the turret go. If it goes, let the turret damage happen. Probably, you know, more valuable or less valuable than your life here, but looks like Ninjax wanted to play with fire and got the spirit fire instead. So yeah. Remember, kids, Ahri has a lot of burst damage.
Ahri does have a lot of burst damage. We didn't get to see it last game as Night Ranger was put so far behind, but this game certainly in full effect, already at 3-1. But now, Llama's getting ran down, does get stunned up. Hypno finds a kill off to the side. We might see another one of those anti-tower dive Llamas clips here. Thaddeus already taking tower aggro, transitions over to Mumu, and neither can really do all that much of anything. You still have to remember that charge still online for the Scion. As looking at the gold across the board, does look like, you know, the main carries are ahead for Ryder, but that Viego on Hypno is really keeping Niagara sort of even overall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing that I want to highlight here is the gold difference of the bot lane right now. Excuse me. That's going to. My God, I'm blanking on Varus' name. I kept wanting to say Viego because he was right there, and they both start with V's. Varus already has a pretty significant lead over Jinx right now, and this is going to really hurt as they're getting into the mid game, because this is about when Varus is going to be more powerful than the Jinx, right? As we see Ninjax once again. Oh, they're diving all the way in.
Seems like third time's the charm, but the third time works out for Ninjax as he doesn't fall to the charm under tower this time around, and does manage to barely escape. Actually might lose the tower for this, and that is first tower, though no local gold given over, so not as bad as it could be.
Yeah, it's still not the greatest for sure. You traded a kill for first turret. Like, that's still a lot of gold that's going into Ryder's pocket right now. You're going to have to make something else happen across the map here in order to make it worth it. Maybe it's this bottom turret right here, but Hypno might be spotted out. The red, they're able to clear out the ward, but they definitely know that there's a jungler is hanging around right now. This does make it easier for them to start warding around Dragon, and they already have some pretty good vision. Niagara does into the other team's jungle right now, but they're a little too early. This does give a little bit of an opportunity for Ryder to come here and contest this Drake, because this is going to put Niagara on sole point. And here comes the blue squad right now.
This does something to take note. Neither teleport is available for the top lane, so this will be a flat 4v4, and there's the big pickup. The Frozen Bola finds the Jinx, and the Hugify is nowhere near enough, as the main damage dealer for Niagara already out of the picture. And now Crazy Monkey gonna get hunted down by the Freljordian Bear Rider, now a Poro Rider, but Sormumu not able to find it, as it does look like Ninjax and Hypno want to try and do some shenanigans, as if they can pick off Sormumu, this completely changes the dynamic of the fight. No smite will be a tough spot, as 3k health on the Drake, and in goes Ninjax. Does get charmed up, and that's the trouble, but Hypno goes in. Does find the reset, transitions to Sejuani, might be able to get another, but the shield is too big, and from downtown comes the train, as Llamas shows up, and who needs a teleport when you've got the Scion ulti, as the Dragon goes to no one, but top tower falls to Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, this is another kind of messy team fight here from Niagara. I think the biggest thing is that Jinx might have spent just a little too... Okay, well, Hopakon is now also having the same issue as Izzy had. Just took a little too long, kind of trying to leave the fight. And now Hopakon is the other issue, is that he just walked into a spot that you just can't leave, right? You're just walking into a turret. The only way to go is back to the... The only way you're leaving there is back in the Summoner's platform respawning. So... The other problem now is that Jax is in the top lane. He's gotten 2 turrets, and Niagara, and kind of like their decision paralysis and their little bit of a sloppy team fight down in the bottom half of the map here is now costing them so many turrets. They lost mid turret because they decided to dive Ahri. They've lost 2 top tier turrets because they decided to answer really late the push by Niagara or by Ryder, and now they're going to lose the Drake as well, and this is going to give a whole lot of gold over to Ryder as they pick up another kill, but I struggle to think that it is even remotely worth at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree. Shirelia's popped by Ahri is huge, and Hypno might be the next one on the chopping block, but still in the mist. Can't auto the blast plant and gets rooted up, as it is going to be a kill going over to Hopakong, and... Yes, you're able to stop the Jax top side, but you lose your jungler, you lose the Dragon, and you're losing map pressure, as Ninjax is going to have to get out of dodge trying to escape, but Night Ranger using that gap closer. The ulti over the wall is just enough for the E over the wall, and there's the flash forced out by the Frozen Bola. And again, Niagara getting pressured, and seems like they're buckling in a few spots.
Yeah, it's definitely looking a little sloppy right now. We're about 22 minutes in. We're almost 22 minutes in here. Niagara is only down 1,000 gold, but a lot of these team fights very, very sloppy. A lot of this decision making seems uncoordinated. It seems just it seems no one seems to be making proactive moves, and the only one who seems to do that seems to be Ninjax right now. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really, really tough. As now.
Away. Oh, those are funny. Whenever the sign's just like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, that's my favorite. That's my favorite ultimate to see used in the other direction. Unstoppable Force is another one that's kind of funny, but that Scion always screams something like "cowards" as he's like charging forward, except he's just running in the other direction. Fight
it
me!
is that beautiful bit of irony. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
man.
like, fight me under my Nexus turrets.
Yeah, bye. There's a character in Heroes of the Storm, Mirrodin, whenever he backs, he goes back to the summoner's platform, or I don't remember what they call it in Heroes of the Storm. But whenever he backs, he says, "Time to advance in the other direction," and it's just yeah. That's about what Scion is doing right now. Let's take stock of where we're at. We're about 23 minutes in this game. Riders has the advantage of 1.2 thousand gold, and they also have a lot of these outer turrets for Niagara down. This is going to be a really tough match already for Niagara to get back into it. especially with this Jinx already so far behind, and they're already fighting in the top lane. Llama's in some trouble. There he goes.
I mean, if it works, it works. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And it's honestly not on that long of a cooldown because it is such a variable ultimate. You know, it's not like Stand United or something where you're always guaranteed to hit. This is something where you just run down and you'll see if you run into something. So it's already, you know, a quarter of the way back up. And it's just so effective at getting out of dodge.
Yeah. I mean, you just take it every day of the week. I mean, at this stage, Llamas is the most safe player on their team and probably has the most amount of gold to his name as well. Doesn't have a whole lot of kills, doesn't have any assists, but 202 CS, highest farm in the game right now, has a bounty on his head because of it, and has been playing pretty safe as well. Been mashing the pushes from Jackson. That's exactly what he needs to do, especially with this teleport up. He just needs to be the biggest, beefiest frontliner for his team, and he's doing exactly that right now. He has a bunch of half items, right? He's not going to get that full benefit from the legendary effect or the mythic effect from that Sunfire Aegis, but he is definitely going to be very, very tanky. That Frozen Heart is nearly completed. He's got the Bramble Vest as well. Fimbulwinter is on the list as well. Once again, Niagara really not taking any sort of risks here. Just trying to play as safe as they possibly can, kind of betting on their late game to be better than Riders here. As Jess said, Hypno goes right in.
Yeah, Hypno tries to do so much, but immediately gets shut down as Ranger able to escape. That slippery fox, too tough to catch. And now with Drake up in less than a minute, that's the next target for Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a real great time for Ryder, and a kind of unfortunate timing for Niagara as well, for the jungler to go down. Up in about 19 seconds is going to be, we'll probably get to the Drake on time, but as it stands right now, Ryder has the advantage around that area, and they have the vision advantage as well, so Niagara really can't go in to the river right now. There's just so much vision that Ryder has right now, and they have the man advantage around the pit right now. So Niagara might be able to contest. Viego has respawned, so they're making their way down there, but they're gonna have to be careful about how to engage this. They're engaging basically into darkness.
Yeah, they definitely are, and I'd rather just see Niagara give this one up. Just focus on clearing out the vision, focus on giving yourself an effective vision line that you can track your opponents, because that's, I feel, the only way for them to get things rolling. Because at this point, Niagara only really wins a fight with, I want to say, Ninjax getting someone low, Izzy's finishing them off, and then you just get these excited resets where Llamas is in the backline or just being that massive front line causing chaos.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the big thing that we need to see is I need to see Llamas finally join these team fights. I mean, the time that we've seen him join fights, it's been too late. And, you know, it's either a communication thing or just like a timing thing from Llamas. I'm not quite sure what the issue is there, but you know, we've seen Llamas farm so much in the top half, and he's definitely fed. He's definitely a real big boy right now. He's got a Frozen Heart, he's got a Sunfire Aegis. This is a Scion that you cannot mess around with, right? There's some damage for Jax, like he's got the Trinity Force, he's got the Blade of the Rune King, but I don't know if he can effectively fight Scion 1v1 and come out. Like, if he does win, it's going to take a very, very long time, and I don't think you want to devote that much time to killing the Scion in the top half. So I struggle to think of how the rest of the team is going to be able to deal with this kind of monster. But at the same time, once again, we need to see him actually show up. We need to see him in these team fights. And right now, he's just been in the island that's top lane.
Yeah, has just been sort of sitting in that island. One thing I will say, Hopikong on this Varus is not going for lethality, is going crit. So that's another way to try and deal with this Scion. LDR certainly going to be a must pick up. Looks like it's going to be the 4th item for this Varus, or that's when you'd be able to build it, as there's already 2 daggers in the inventory, so maybe looking towards another Zeal item. But still, you know, there are answers from Ryder. This Jax is going to just be able to continue to pepper down the Scion. If Varus can just wail away, that's going to be tough to sustain against or tough to survive against, and there's plenty of CC on the side of Ryder. You know, there's the Sejuani, there's the Chains of Corruption, there's the Charm, there's the Counter-Strike. Plenty of options available.
Yeah. And it's definitely going to... I need to see how these full 5v5 team fights are going to play out, because once again, Llamas is going to be a pretty big team contributor to these fights. But I'm probably going to repeat myself again. We just need to see him in them. You know, the neutral objective on the map right now is Baron. I would like to see both teams kind of make their way over there, because Ryder has a pretty good advantage right now. It's not gigantic, but it is definitely something that's pretty good, as now Llamas approached once again. 2v1 on the top.
Yeah, it does have to get away, but does get ran into. That charge from the big old Poro gonna slow down the Scion, and it might be just what they needed. Llama's trying to run away, get over to Crazy Monkey. There's the Guardian, there's the speed up, and there's the great escape as the rest of the team comes around to try and help this fight out. But with Thaddeus already chunked, Ryder wants no business. Llama's still unkillable.
Yeah, Llama's looking to preserve their perfect game here, but you know, we need you in the team fight. Now he's backing. It's a 4v5. 4v4.
He's backing. It is a 4v5 for the time being. Ninjax and the rest of the team trying to survive, but have to remember there is this teleport available. There it is. Ninjax do quite a bit of damage on the back line, but maybe it wasn't enough. Izzy gonna have to be who you rely on from here on out. And yes, that did chunk out Ari, the Super Mega Death Rocket, but Night Ranger is here, and it is once again a 4v5 in favor of Ryder, and Niagara pushed back.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be it's an upward battle for Niagara right now. Maybe not seeing them at their best right now, but this is definitely going to be something to watch out for. I mean, this is just such a night and day difference from what we saw in the previous game. You know, we didn't see them have as much control over the early game that we you know, kind of expected them to see, and we didn't really see the kind of same control that they had in the mid game that they kind of had before, even slightly. But now this kind of decision paralysis is kind of showing that its head once again. Kind of miscommunication maybe as well with Llamas in the top lane, and maybe some greedy dives from Ninjax as well, and Izzy not really having like a big kind of pop-off moment that they can really lock down for the rest of the team. They've also locked in Viego once again and not really been able to get like a pretty big lead, a significant lead for Hypno to really pop off, right? They had maybe one really good team fight, but that was kind of it. So now Niagara is stuck in this kind of rut here where, you know, Llamas is big, but hasn't really been able to contribute to these team fights. Hypno has been able to get some decent items under their belt, but isn't in a significant lead that Viego can just run rampant on the enemy team. And Izzy doesn't really have the damage for a hyper carry just yet, but this might be the turnaround right here.
Oh, there's the stun. There's the first kill. Ari's huge off the table. Thaddeus immediately tries to Hypno, so no smite available for this Drake. But the kills are going the way of Niagara, though, in the backside. Jinx already fallen, but that polymorph is huge. The big carry gone from Ryder, as that Ari, who felt like the difference maker of this game, is now out of the picture.
And this is finally a win for Niagara, and I think I predicted it right, because Llamas basically full H. The HP bar you see right now is basically the HP bar throughout the entire fight. The most amount of damage probably done in that fight was by the dragon after the fight had already ended. Llamas was basically untouched that whole fight and was being an insane CC nuisance the whole time. Izzy got separated from the rest of the team, was able to be focused down, but the second that Sir Mumu tried to regain the rest of the team here, Llamas was already on the team really, really hard. It was very tough to get this Scion off of them. Now this Scion is huge, nearly level 18. It's the highest level in the game, 2-0-2, nearly 300 CS. He's gonna probably finish up that Thornmail, maybe put together a Fimble. He's got a Titanic Hydra. This guy's way too big. He's nearly full build. We're 32 minutes. No one else is even close to in the amount of items that this Scion has right now.
Yeah, I was looking at the carries for Ryder, and I'm like, oh, wow, 3-item Ari. Oh, wow, 3-item Varus. And then you look to the top side, and it's like, oh, okay, 3.5-item Scion, who's been stacking his W the entire game and has a million HP. That is scary, yes. And there is no way that you can cut through that. Maybe if this Varus gets 5 seconds of free firing with a fully stacked Ginsos, that's a maybe.
Oh, but we're looking for another fight right now. Llamas definitely is here. They're definitely looking for the initiation. Once again, this is sole point for both teams. It's a pretty important team fight. Jax is here. Izzy might be a little too far forward here. Oh, there's the engage.
Here's the engage. There's the big Lulu ulti in the middle of the fight as Llama's trying to do what he can, but damage dealer's already taken out. Izzy out of the picture, but it might have been too many resources thrown onto that ADC, who isn't doing all that much as Hypno, Ninjax, and Llamas prevail. 2-for-3 fight in favor of Niagara, but how much longer will it stay that way as Ninjax about half HP and this fight isn't quite over. Mumu does still have Smite. Does look like Niagara are just dragging this away to prevent that from happening, putting Llamas as Vanguard. Ranger trying to get vision. Oh, and that Dragon reset. Not a good look, but it does seem that Ryder is finally conceding the Drake, and it will go over to Niagara.
Yeah. Once again, take a look at Llama's HP bar. This guy was a huge nuisance to a lot of the team and is untouched. And there's not really a whole lot that the enemy team can do against him. There's no max HP damage built by anyone except for Jax with the Blade of the Rune King. Everyone just has flat damage. Llamas has so much HP, it's nearly impossible to cut through all of it. And on top of that, he just has so much resistances too. He's sitting on 1,300 gold here too. Like, this is a great place for him to back and maybe pick up that finished Fimbulwinter, and then he's going to come back again, even more powerful. When he lands CC, if he slows anyone, which is hitting him with the W or even just a slightly channeled Q, he's going to get an even bigger shield for him to just constantly just stand in front of Hopatcon, stand in front of NY Ranger, and not let them deal any sort of damage to the rest of the team. It's going to fully have to rely on Thaddeus and Sir Mumu, who can kind of navigate their way around Sion in order to get to Izzy, but then they have to deal with Crazy Monkey on the back end here. Niagara looked like it was the team that needed to bet on Jinx, but now it seems like they're just kind of betting on Sion almost.
Yeah, honestly, these fights, it's just been, you know, divers going for Izzy, like Ranger, Thaddeus, Sir Mumu. They're all just jumping onto the Jinx, but the Jinx isn't the one you have to worry about. It's Llamas buying time for Ninjax and Hypno to get their damage down. And we also have to remember, Sion has some stupidly high base damages, you know? His W, I think the damage scales with max HP, which is massive at this point. His E, you know, is nothing to... It's not huge, but then his Q fully charged, that's half of, like, Karma's HP. That's half of Hopatcong's HP. His ultimate, if it lands onto you, is going to deal so much damage that you are just not ready for as a squishy member of this team. And if it comes down to the point where it's Hypno and Llamas versus Sir Mumu and Thaddeus, I'm voting for Llamas and Hypno because they can cut through those HP bars and Ryder cannot cut through Llamas.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw it in the last game that Arius Huge was hit by the Sion ultimate and nearly had their entire HP bar gone. Like, that was insane as Hypno. But for Thaddeus, can't quite find it.
Cannot, as Niagara, they've sensed their team fight strength shifting the tide of this game. Now potentially looking to set up around Baron. Sir Mumu senses something is awry, and Niagara falls back to their mid lane to clear out these waves, but I'm really liking the team fighting out of Niagara, and Ryder have to find alternative answers. Maybe now it's time to go back to that 1-3-1, because it was working until they started team fighting.
Yeah, I mean, now they have to take Niagara and separate Llamas from the team. They have to go back to this 1-3-1 strat because Llamas with the team means that it's going to be very hard to really kill anyone. Llamas is such a huge frontliner. They have the Fimbulwinter nearly completed here. It's only going to need a couple more casts here. They went from 330 to 342 in nearly an instant here. So, they might have found a pick here onto Ninjax. Watch out.
Yeah, this pick on Ninjax not going to look good for Niagara, as there is the Shroud, and maybe this will buy enough time to find the team as the jump forward. There's the teleport in, and honestly, this Zhonya's is huge. Immediate charm, but somehow Ninjax is still alive, takes down Ranger, and now this has completely turned the fight on its head. Ryder caught with 2 gone, and the one who looked instantly dead in Ninjax now finds a double kill.
Shoutouts to Crazy Monkey, the hero we needed, the hero we deserved, coming in with that Shirelia's battle song to deliver Hypno to the front line, and then coming in with the clutch Wild Growth to save Ninjax from death at just the last moment. Make sure you appreciate, love, and support your supports, because they are coming in and making sure you are able to get away with the stuff that should probably kill you. And this is, man, what an amazing turnaround too. Once again, Llama's coming in huge, finally has the Fibblewinter finish, so now this Scion is going to be even harder to deal with. And now with these death timers, Niagara now has the opportunity to really put some vision into enemy territory and set up for this Dragon Soul, but it looks like they're setting up for the kill instead.
Oh, they've got a pincer. Hubicon gonna go down, and Hypno gonna find that reset. Although, Thaddeus, this is a big Jax. You've got to be careful, but not when you've got this Viego just dropping the hammer. As now with Dragon Soul coming up in just 5 seconds, Niagara looking to collect.
Yeah, I mean, this is some target selection by Ryder, maybe not correct. I think you mentioned it earlier before that a lot of times they're diving onto Izzy in the backline here. So they're like, oh, it's a jinx. It's 39 minutes in. This is a big champion. Izzy is 1-5. This is a champion that sure can deal damage if they're left alone, but the big damage dealers on the team right now are Ninjax and Hypno, and Hypno was pretty much untouched that fight because a lot of the burst damage was thrown onto Izzy. Hypno had basically a free run of that backline there and is now back to full HP and has Heartbreaker almost back up, so which means it could probably start doing it again if someone makes a wrong move.
Yeah, definitely, as now this Baron setup is looking positive for Niagara. They can get Llamas to push out this top side. They can push out that mid wave, as what felt like a game completely in Ryder's control completely flipped the second that Llamas entered a fight. And now Niagara, they're playing with confidence because they're realizing that we don't care about the gold lead. We don't care that our hyper carry is behind. We just care that we're not dying in these fights, and you can't deal with that. And it really does feel like a fault in Ryder's draft, and honestly a little bit in their itemization, because I feel if you take this Varus, you swap out that Gale Force for a Kraken Slayer, you have a very different game on your hands, because now you're dealing percentage true damage onto that Scion.
Yeah, I mean, this is really going to, this next team fight around what's possibly going to be Baron is going to be very, very important, right? I don't think Niagara is going to be able to end the game off of it, but they are doing a good job of taking turrets where they can at this stage, and they still have a lot of ground to work through here. Oh, are they already going?
Looks like they might be, as Crazy Monkey very, very low, taken up by Thaddeus, and bye-bye. There's the hero we sadly have to say goodbye to, is now Hypno gonna go down without that Lulu, and a quick pick means Ryder now has Baron control.
Yeah, I mean, this might even smell the end of the game too. I mean, if not now, really, really soon. We're 41 minutes in, and these death timers are nearly a minute long. So if Niagara wants to do something, they have to do it now, and they have to be very decisive about it. They're not going to steal the Baron, so it's going to go over to Ryder here. So this is going to go on for a little bit longer. Ryder still has some room to work with here, but they do have a very strong 1-3-1. Let's see if they opt for that type of play here.
Yeah, we're seeing Thaddeus already pushing out the mid lane as everyone else already reset. I do like this move by Llamas, just getting that top wave as pushed in as possible, give them less things to worry about now with this Baron buffed Ryder squad. And I'm going to say it just felt like sloppiness out of Crazy Monkey and Hypno, going a little too far forward without your front line and underestimating the damage that Ryder can put out. This is a 4-item Jax, a 4-item Ahri, a 4-item Varus. These are not champions you can just, scooch to the side.
Yeah. And it's not also champions that you can just press S, walk away from, right click in the opposite direction, right? These are very mobile champions that, like, if you are caught out, have some tools to lock you down and then be able to finish the job. Like, I agree that they're moving as a 2-man unit trying to ward the enemy jungle, but they were in pretty deep. They're pretty far away from their home territory here, and they didn't end up placing any wards, and I'm not quite sure about their exit strategy, and it looked like Crazy Monkey was just kind of lagging behind Hypno as well, so when it came down to an engagement, like, Hypno was already halfway gone, and then Crazy Monkey was caught out, and then Hypno had to engage after that in order to save their teammate. So it was just like a really sloppy play to begin with, and didn't quite have like clear objectives that were kind of like solved there. We take a look at the vision that that Niagara has, and it's nowhere in that half of the map.
Yeah, nowhere past the river, really nowhere past the buff line and even their own jungle, as they're gonna have to win a fight just to gain any semblance of map control. And with this constant pressure out of these baroned up minions, it's getting tougher and tougher as the base is finally broken.
Yeah, this is now going to be do or die time for Niagara here. I mean, this Baron buff is very strong. It's gonna start wearing off soon. We still have some time on it, but this, once again, like, this is just really tough here, as we might have a little bit of a scuffle in the bot lane here. Ultimate was used by Sion. That's a flash.
Oh, and Hobbit Kong got caught by the Shuriken, does go down. That is a big pick off, and Ninjax Zonya's away the Frozen Bola. Although you gotta remember the Jack's still in the back line, as the shutdown onto Ninjax, as he didn't quite watch where that Boomerang REQ was going. And in the back end, their base is torn apart by Thaddeus as 2 inhibs were taken.
Yeah, Thaddeus is going to be in some trouble here. They're probably going to be able to pick up the kill for sure. Almost turns it into a 1-for-1. But yeah, this is Niagara just kind of stemming the bleeding. At this point, they've lost 2. They were able to pick up some good kills, put themselves some gold in their pocket. But at this stage of the game, gold starts mattering less and less. Some of these builds are nearly finished to finished, and like a lot of these items that they're going to be building aren't going to be big significant changes to their damage or survivability at this stage, unless you're building like something gigantic, right? But still, they're not, because of where they are on the map and because of the the timings on some of these neutral objectives. They're really not going to be able to get anything off of those kind of big victories here. We have Elder Drake spawning in 20 seconds, but the only thing they're going to be able to get off of this is a 5 to 4 man advantage due to the staggered death from Thaddeus here, if anything.
Yeah,
but Thaddeus does have teleport available, so Elder Drake is going to spawn. If they start it right now, there still can be a 5v5 fight over this Elder Drake.
Most certainly, as Llamas is spotted in the top side, and I don't like this. I want the Sion to be applying pressure as a front line actively and not trying to passively, be that split pusher. And while, yes, you do need to push out against these supers so you can take this fight, it's still a little nerve-wracking, as now Llama's heading down river, might just run face first into Ryder, although there's 3 mid, might be able to distract enough for this dragon to get burned down. Looks like that is the play, as Llama's distracted by Thaddeus getting burnt down just a little bit. And getting the Sion out of the fight is what Ryder needs to do.
Yeah, and the 4v4 situation is definitely Ryder as the... Okay, Opacon with the blue buff is going to be a little bit annoying here, but Niagara looking for the engage here. Llamas is here. Might be a 5v4. Jack's looking to split push maybe. They have to keep their eyes on that. It's a real tricky situation here.
Llamas goes back to answer the wave, and this is exactly what Ryder was looking for. Is he going to be the first to fall? Most likely, although slowed down by the Flame Chompers. Doesn't go down quite yet. Now in the back line, Ninjax doing quite a bit alongside Hypno, as they're just distracting 4 members. Crazy Monkey going to keep them alive. The thing is, Thaddeus in the backline did find 1, but the rest is going the way of Niagara. The target selection just isn't there, and neither is the team fight, as Mumu likely to fall. Llamas going up and has to respond to the base. Thaddeus won't be able to find anything else, as Niagara, there's still a 50-50 potential, but have secured most of this dragon pressure.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to this right now. They're kind of splitting their attention right now, trying to chase Sir Mumu, but they have to just... Okay, they're splitting a little bit too much right here, and I really want them to commit to one or the other, because either they're going all in on the Sejuani or they're going all in on the Drake. They really can't afford to go 50-50 right here, because Thaddeus is shoving in on the base, right? The Jax is forcing them to make a decision. Even though he's going to fall here to Llamas, they really need to make this decision here. Okay, here we go.
Looks like we have it. Ninjax should be able to finish off this kill on their own. Hypno now just going to let Crazy Monkey keep that dragon aggroed, and this will be an Elder Drake going over to all 5 members of Niagara, and I think that's the most important bit. Get reset. This is getting tighter and tighter, and I don't like it. There's Doesn't look like there's a chance as the Super Mega Death Rocket comes in.
Yeah.
Can't damage the Drake unless there's a champion there, and it's the splash damage. But now we're seeing the reset out of Niagara. Baron is up. Now it makes a little more sense, though, rather than last game when they had more control.
Yeah. This Elder Drake might be a little not useful. It'll be enough to threaten Ryder off of the Baron fight that's probably going to happen relatively soon. Look at where Llamas is positioned right now. He's already in kind of position to kind of ward around this area, use the sweeper, clear out vision. It's really going to, that's where this is going to be most utilized. But Ryder really needs to be careful about how they approach this team fight. Izzy now has kill potential, and Llamas before, when they didn't exactly have kill potential, maybe they just had a bunch of strong base damages, definitely has kill potential now, right? But what I'm really looking for is Niagara to use this Baron, use this Elder Drake. They have to use it now. They have to either team fight or get the Baron. They have to make that decision now. They can't go 50-50 on this, and they can't just run around. That Elder Drake buff is wearing off, and they could lose a team fight if they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's wearing off. I want them to just pull the trigger, start the dragon. I mean, the Baron, enforce response. Ninjax might have gone a little bit too deep. Does go back, receives a little bit of healing from that redemption, but still not enough. And once again, Niagara is put into this holding pattern. Ninjax is forced to back, and now it's a 4v5. They can't use this Elder, and it does feel like it was just more of a denial play than a proactive play.
Yeah, Ryder right now is doing exactly what they need to do. They are distracting Niagara from doing what they want to do, and now they're like, well, now we can't use the Elder Drake because we have to respond to this 4-person push now. Oh no.
Ninjax going down. This triggers the TP out of Llamas, and oh, that might take down Ranger, just barely doesn't. And that will be enough, as the Elder Drake will be wearing off. The inhib goes down, and the pressure once again is in favor of Ryder, as Hypno is on the wrong side of the mid lane, trying to find a way out, or maybe just trying to find a way to kill Ranger and escape that way. But the Shirelia's battle song committed by Ari is huge. Now Hypno might just be trying to stagger to let the team come in. Llamas did come through with the choo-choo train. And now Thaddeus might be a little too far forward, dashes back to safety, as again, these two teams are just dancing around each other. But now Elder is gone. That major threat is off the table.
Both of these teams are playing like amateur chess players that don't want to give up their pawns in the first few turns of the game. Both teams are just kind of dancing around a team fight, but never fully committing to one. And that was in Ryder's favor when Niagara had the Elder Drake, but it's not going to be to their advantage if Niagara continues to make the proactive plays here. But the problem is Niagara doesn't seem to want to make proactive plays either. They're just more of, both teams are playing reactive to each other, and that's not a way to win the game, because you can just sit there and to make a Magic the Gathering reference here, you can sit there with all the reactions in your hand, but you have to discard the hand size eventually. As now, here we go. Here's the fight.
Here we go. Mumu already chunked out, but so was Crazy Monkey. And that might be it, honestly, as two chunks, neither team wanting to lose a member because they know how big it is to take someone off the map. Although with the jungler being chunked, that might be the Baron trigger that Niagara needed. At the very least, they're looking to chase this Sejuani down, as there's the final pings onto the Baron. It's been started up by Niagara, but you've got to be wary. There's a Jax waiting in the wings, and I'm going to say, I'm not sure why Izzy is using Fishbone's rockets on the Baron when Pow Pow will just deal more damage. There we go. Swapped over to the right gun. Might have just been a little oversight, and this looks like it is going to be Baron heading over to Niagara, as I don't think Thaddeus actually saw them as they were so deep inside the pit.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a long game. I hope y'all are strapped in, because we're nearly an hour into game 2 of Ryder versus Niagara here. And man, I think I want to bring this up again. This was a point that we brought in between these two games here, but this is not a situation that's going to happen with Marist tomorrow. Niagara has had a lot of decision paralysis, has had a lot of moments where they're not willing to take risks. And even though it's a risk that might lose you the game, sometimes, the risk is calculated, and you need to, just go for it sometimes. Okay, here we go. Speaking of risks, this might be the one that...
As Hypno jumped forward, doesn't result in a kill, but Ari is huge, does get chunked out, and if Niagara chooses to chase here, this might be their opportunity. Llamas is here, there's the Shirelias, this could be the fight we're looking for. Stun on the Surmumu, and now there's the Unstoppable, stuns him up once again, zones out all the damage, and it's just going to be a matter of killing this Sejuani before worrying about everyone else. Surmumu does go down, that is in the back line, and now Crazy Monkey out of here. There's the peel, there's the heal, out of the picture, but now it's just a wave of CC that this Jax can't manage, and 70-second death timers. Niagara, this is your chance. You have to push now. You have Baron, you just need the minions to finish it off.
They have the minions in the bot wave. You just got to make your way down there right now. Cyan is already making their way down there, but they're super hyper fixated on this mid lane right now, which I guess they have 3 people here, but this bot lane might be the way to get to victory. They need to be pushing as 5 as the fastest way to push in this scenario. Llamas definitely is going to draw some attention, but where is Viego going? Where are we going? These death timers are 30 seconds long, 40 seconds long. End the game. What is this Elder Drake going to do for you at this stage?
I completely agree. I think that they just had their opportunity to win, and they're sort of throwing it away, as they are going to get Elder onto 4 members here, yes, but I think that they just had a chance to win the game. You have Llama stand in front, you have Izzy fire down the Nexus turrets, and that's it. You don't have to worry about Surmumu, Hotbat, or Thaddeus getting back up, and this has given them the space to do so.
Yeah, and by the time that they reach this inhibitor turret, all the members of Ryder are going to be alive, and it's going to be a 5v4. Sure, they have the Elder Drake, but it's still going to be a man advantage in Ryder's favor that they could possibly take. Look at how far forward Izzy is playing right now, and now they might be in some trouble if they don't get out of there. Ninjax as well. This is definitely some easy positioning that can be capitalized on, and some very sloppy mistakes here as they're even trying to end the game with Niagara here.
Yeah, as Hobakong, stepping very far forward. Somehow doesn't get punished. There's the kill. Okay. There's the Super Mega Death Rocket. Finishes things off, and there's a big damage dealer no longer alive, as it looks like Niagara, through all of those decisions, through that level of paralysis, is still able to find Elder, is still able to find a win, as they are knocking on the Nexus turrets. Here's the final fight. You've got to do something here now, Ryder, if you want to stay alive. But it looks like Elder plus Baron plus damage is too much, as this is going to be the final fight. Just a series of Fishbones rockets raining down. Hypno just has to hit the Nexus, and Niagara finally takes the series.
55 minutes, nearly 55 and a half minutes, a nearly full hour game here for Niagara. To say that this was a clean game I feel would be not accurate to say. You know, Niagara does come out on top here, but you know, was sloppy along the way here, and this is not something that they're going to be these like kind of larger mistakes, this kind of decision paralysis we've been talking about is not going to be able to be done against Maris as they go against tomorrow. And this really not looking, even though they came out with victorious here, and if this wasn't a show match, they would be moving on, right? And we'd be talking about, you know, they got their 2-0 victory and they're moving on. We already knew that they were going to be moving on. You know, these are 2 games that if you're Marist, you're just like, okay, all right, sure. Yeah, I'm just okay. You know, yeah, they know exactly who they're going up against. They're not scared. You know, this is like, okay, 55-minute game, sure.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Marist, you're just happy to see that result, and we'll have to see how they apply it, as again, this is a full MAAC Esports Championship weekend at the Showboat in Atlantic City, but that is going to be it from us here today, as semifinals will start tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it. Starting things off with, I think, Marist versus Niagara. So for the last time today, I'm J Turbo, joined alongside Shinkari. Everyone, thank you for watching and have a wonderful night.